Welcome to the Podski. What? Ooh, yeah.
You understand, baby?
Dig it?
Let me tell you another thing.
First name John, last name Baker. Brother.
Hello and welcome to the Podski. I'm your host, the man of 1,000 gimmicks, John Baker. It is episode 35. We got the AEW Revolution review show, and we got the three-man booth back again. We got myself, Teddy Mongoose, and Justin Andretti. What's going on, boys? How's your week?
Blessing to be here on the Tom Barrasso show, the number 35 memorial. Wonderful week. We had a stellar pay-per-view on Sunday. The young one, the little one, went away for Saturday night, so I got a little date ski with the missus on Saturday. And then we pulled through Monday. I got through an hour of Raw before the Carmella and Chelsea Green team put me to bed. And now I'm here and excited to be with you all. So let's get this.
All right. What's going on, Andretti?
Hey, be blessed and be a blessing. It's like old Buddy Landell told us, man. Just be blessed and be a blessing.
Speaking of blessings, our buddy we talked about a few weeks ago, Steven Richards, he is back at home.
Yeah.
Looking with a walker. He looks like he's doing a lot better than what he was.
He don't look too good, but he does look better.
Yeah, he doesn't look good, but he looks a lot better. It looks like he kicked out at 2.5, and he's going to live to see his another standing 8 count here. So
he looks like he hasn't been combining the fat burner with an energy in quite a while.
No, but you know what he's ready to do?
Hit somebody with the chair.
Yeah, bed to chair, and then chair to standing. And then, just go through the progression, baby boy, because Uncle Dallas got it all laid out right there on the app. And I said this in jest before, but my hope is the best for him, that everything gets well and that he is, at full physical capacity here sooner rather than later. I just hope that this wasn't some nefarious DDP plan to put together the next new comeback story to sell the app and the yoga routine.
Well, I hope that it is, and then he ends up on Physical 100.
If that happened, baby boy needs to learn a little bit of Korean if he wants to do that, though. But yeah, I mean, they could always subtitle him out, but any of the people, there was one American dude who was a baseball player, was a pitcher. He could say a couple of words every now and then. But what's that?
Jim Abbott?
Dude.
Thank Abbott?
It was not. Jim Abbott has me shook. I don't even have a response right now. No, it was some tall bearded man.
Why was that the
arms.
first picture that I thought of?
I couldn't tell you, buddy, but I'm glad it was. So thank you. Appreciate that. Was Jim Abbott?
One-handed, yes.
No. I knew that. But was he the one that was on Boy Meets World? Did he have a cameo on Boy Meets World?
Yeah, let's go with it.
I'm checking this really quick. Boy Meets World, one of my favorite television shows of all time.
You got Jim Abbott confused with Vader again.
Bro, how many times am I going to do that, man? With freaking Leon, it's the fact that he had those. It's the fact that he pitched with a glove on, and Leon always wore gloves. That's what I always get him crossed up with.
Yes, he was on Boy Meets World.
Dude, there is an entire section of his Wikipedia page that says "playing with one hand." I mean, I guess why not, right?
Yeah, while we're there.
Where do you see? Oh, yeah, there we go. So he appeared as himself on Boy Meets World on the episode Class Pre-Union. All right, I'm good.
What are we doing?
Talking to Jim Abbott, Boy Meets World, Vader, and bad taste jokes about Stevie Richards' health declining.
Hey, Stevie, get better.
Yes, seriously. In all honesty, man.
Make the workout your own, man.
Yep.
Absolutely. Oh man, we had a lot of stuff happen this weekend. Did you guys watch Raw last night?
I had it. I tried to record it, and it didn't record here on the TV, so I saved myself from having to watch it.
I watched the entire first, probably hour and like 6 minutes, and that was enough. I was good.
I read what happened. I didn't see it, but I read what happened.
I listened to the review show last night, and that's all I needed. I do want to go back and watch the main event angle, because now that we finally had a turn, with the bloodline, I do want to see it. But yeah, it by no means was I gonna, not after Revolution the night before, man. I gotta go bit by bit. If I would have stayed up and watched all of Raw last night, I'd never be on this recording right now. No chance. I'd have been in bed by.
The main event angle, they totally had me. I will absolutely 100% admit that. I seriously thought that Jay was going back with Sammy. I thought like Jay did, that is some A+ work that Jay did last night. Like, he totally had me, and then that turn was really well done. I really, really liked it. The only thing from that show, I mean, there was some things about the show. Obviously, we can talk about Vince, but the one thing I really wanted to talk to you guys about was the John Cena segment, because that was an interesting one. I was really, that is not the take or the spin or the angle that I thought that they would have done with Austin Theory and John Cena. Like, they did something completely different than I thought that they would do. I mean, it was along the lines, but the way that they did it, I don't know if it did Theory any favors, because while I'm watching it, it just made me think about Austin Theory the way I thought about him last year. I thought he was a total geek, and I just didn't believe it. And then John Cena coming out there saying, like, these people don't believe you and you are a geek. Like that, I was just like, well, is he? Like, is that legitimately what he is? Like, did he? Because he was turning on me there around Royal Rumble. And even though we talked about like the Elimination Chamber match, he didn't really do anything in that match. I was really turning the corner on him. And then last night, that totally flipped script on me. And I'm just like, is he even any good? Or is it just like, I don't know. I know they want us to feel a certain way about him, but I thought I felt worse about him than what I should.
I'm very glad that you brought that up, actually, because this was something that I wanted to mention to you guys before today, or earlier today, rather. And then, just the day got in the way. And so I'm glad that we get to talk about it live and in color here. Two things with that. So the first thing is, we didn't really talk a lot about it on the pod. And maybe we did, I just don't remember. We put in like 7 hours over the last 2 weeks. But one of the things that is scary about the AEW booking with certain people, now Eddie Kingston, previously MJF, is you don't want to bury your company or your people, right? Like that is your company is the company and your people are your people. So you can bury somebody by, calling them not as good as you, or, use actual fighting words. But when you go, the fourth wall down and you say what everybody's thinking in that way, you are walking a really fine line. And it makes me think of actually Baron Corbin, whenever they brought back all the McMahons and things were going to change. And they were like, oh yeah, well, this is your fault, Baron Corbin. Like you're terrible. You don't draw. Everybody changes the channel. And then they just did it to the poor guy again. Like, hey man, Baron Corbin's making more money than I could ever think about making. And so if the checks cash, then whatever, good for you. And if he's happy, then that's great. But they absolutely had, they've used him and turned him from a Money in the Bank winner that, they seriously thought was going to be something. Like there was no reason to put that Money in the Bank on him unless they thought that he was going to be a guy. And then they did an about face so bad. Yeah, they went so 180 that he then, he's just this, he's just, it's gross. Like the time that he takes up on the screen is change the channel, and they tell you that. And I don't like that. If you want this guy to be your main event guy, it is weird. I do think that the idea of your ruthless aggression me is cool. Like find yourself, but yeah, the everything that I've seen, heard, that was a burial. The final burial was supposed to be Christian and Jungle Boy, and it was actually John Cena and Austin Theory, baby.
Yeah, I don't understand that. And then like they completely, like they wipe the floor with Theory when they bring out Cody. Like I was perplexed when they brought Cody out. Like we all know that I'm a huge Cody mark. Like that's my guy, but I was so confused at the end. I was like, what is Cody doing out here? And then like they didn't bring him out for anything else on the show other than that, which I was way confused. Which the only other time you saw Cody, which was a very small tidbit, I don't know if you even saw this. The only way you caught this is if you saw it on Twitter. When Bronson Reed was walking in front of the screen at one point in the back, Cody was talking with Kevin Owens to plead with him to help Sammy if he got in trouble. Like you could see him visibly pleading with Kevin Owens, and then Cody's the one that runs out at the end to save. Right. So like to save Sammy. So I thought that was like a really cool thing that they did with Cody, but like I just didn't understand the whole point of this angle, and I don't know. They're walking a fine line with this one. I don't really like it that much. I think it's going to be a really good match. I think John's going to put him over, but how do we get here on this?
What you got, Andretti? Yeah, give it to me, Andretti.
I didn't see it, so I don't know. But just from talking to you guys, and talking to you, Baker, a little bit earlier today in the chat, like it's weird. It's a weird thing to do. Like it's almost like you're putting yourself in a position where now you've got to work twice as hard to get that guy over.
Yeah,
that's a really good way to put that. And the other thing about it is, I don't know. It's again.
Can we be honest here real quick? Like, does him beating Cena, even if the match is pretty good, does it do anything?
Well, the thing is, it could. So the reason that they brought Cody out there with Cena was to sprinkle the Cena dust. That show was very secretly all about putting Cody over huge. You sprinkled Cena dust on him, was saying, this is my guy. And then you had Cody come out to save Sammy, so that we're cheering with Sammy and Cody, not for Sammy or Cody.
Yeah.
So that was really, really well done. But the fact that we are, and again, I don't know any better way to put it than that we're Corbining Austin Theory. The proof should have been in the pudding that burying Baron Corbin as being a ratings losing, why did we put you on television guy, and then continuing to put him on television. Like there wasn't one more TV set that came on for a Baron Corbin match. There wasn't one more ticket sold. There wasn't one T-shirt sold because of it. I don't understand.
I mean, maybe B-Mix bought one.
You know what? I don't think so, because they shaved his head and put him in the happy gimmick. I guarantee that B-Mix would have been DONE with him. He wanted the lone wolf, baby.
That is true.
He wanted metal. He wanted metal, balding, long-haired Corbin. And to be honest, he was, at least when that was him, he had the almost like the Damian Priest / Punishment Martinez aura of bigger, lankier dude. So not built like Hulk or anything, but that bigger, longer, and athletic guy that can play your giant, but is athletic enough to be like a base, but then is athletic enough to run and work with anybody. And the problem with Baron is that he didn't have the charisma that that not even like a Punishment. We're Punishment guys here, so maybe not everybody would say that. But Martinez definitely has, what's his name? Priest has more of he has more of an appeal to him than Baron Corbin does. But they didn't give Baron Corbin a chance to make himself anything other than just a nerd. And there is a very, very special and near and dear to my heart nerd that I'm going to put over big here in a little bit. And the way that they nerded out Corbin is way different than this guy's nerding out. I'll talk about that later.
But that's been the WWE MO for a long time, is you put people in these situations that are impossible. I mean, it would have been impossible for Riddick Moss and Baron Corbin and Otis and Chad Gable to ever be taken seriously.
Yeah, well, and Otis is done, which here's the thing with Otis is that he will always be a television character because the dude is super charismatic and the dude is a powerhouse, and everyone's always going to love everyone always loves the funny big fat guy. You know what I mean? Like they always do. But what sucks for him is that he's the funny big fat guy. Like once he accidentally won that Money in the Bank, and then they pivoted to where they had that real actual intriguing storyline with him and Mandy Rose. And then they just pivoted away to shave his face and turn him heel. Like the way they broke up Heavy Machinery was bad. And then, they shaved his face and turned Otis heel for some reason, which who's ever going to want to boo Otis? You know what I'm saying? Like he's just a forever baby face. And him now being with this Maximum Male Models thing, he's absolutely slated forever as, top of the card guy and, comedy geek at times. But, he also might have way more longevity there than he might have if he was going to be some monster heel that got beat once and then he was done. If he was like the old Hogan heel factory or whatever. So maybe it is good for him. I don't know. But they put a ceiling on him right after that Mandy Rose thing, man, where it was you're slotted here and sorry, buddy, that's it.
Yeah. Oh, that stuff with Mandy was actually really great.
Oh, dude, it was awesome. That was really cool. And, then you could tell how cold their feet got and that they had no plan. So they realized, oh shoot, we gave Otis this Money in the Bank and we don't ever want him to have the title. And also, what do we do? I don't know, turn Tucker heel. Yeah. and then give the briefcase to the Miz through some convoluted weirdo rigged trial.
That.
Yeah, all of those segments were written 15 minutes before they went on air. Guaranteed.
Yeah. Well, speaking of 15 minutes before the air, apparently Vince was at Raw last night, and the rumor mill is that he was sporting a mustache. I'm pretty sure that's been debunked, but how awesome would that be if he just had a big old fat flavor saver under his nose?
Listen, man, it is the perfect disguise. You Google disguise, you're going to see glasses, nose, mustache. So it's absolutely the way that he should have done it. So to me, I give a big thumbs up.
Did you see that stuff, Andretti?
I did not.
Yes, apparently he was backstage, and in the photo I sent, somebody actually edited that mustache. I sent it in the chat this morning. Somebody edited that mustache on him. It's so fantastic. I'm gonna resend it again because it is just so great. It's coming to you now. But yeah, I don't understand what they were doing last night on Raw. It definitely felt like there was some Vince-isms in there. I don't know. I mean, but then again, like that's some kind of stuff that Triple H likes too. So I don't know. I'm more excited. My wheelhouse is more SmackDown. It's 2 hours. It's much easier to digest. I don't always get to watch it live. I like to watch it Saturdays during the cardio, but it's more digestible because it's only 2 hours, and they just do better on SmackDown for some reason. For some reason, Raw, it's just got an aura about just being the shits, and it's just the 3 hours thing and awful.
I mean, there's 25 years of precedent for that.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing about it is that they're stuck with 3 hours because they get paid for 3 hours. And so what are you going to do? And it's not like they didn't try Raw Underground. You know what I mean? Like but there were things that they did try and none of it worked. And so you got to fill 3 hours. And I wish that they could fill 3 hours with content that was worth sticking around for. But I mean, I'm not writing those shows either, so I can't comment on how, easy, difficult, or whatever. But the reality of it is that they've gotten me enough that I can turn it on, but it is not good enough that I keep it on, certainly until the end. And that's for Raw.
Right. But all right. Well, do we want to do our top 5? Have we got any more news? Andretti, did you watch any wrestling this weekend? I know you're the big indie and New Japan guy. What shows you?
Dude, of course I've got a lot of stuff here. So
and before you start, I heard that Dave was putting over the Stardom show that happened this weekend. Like he was jizzing on the audio this morning about that.
And dude, that's every Stardom show that you hear reviewed. And these are the pay-per-view shows, like the big shows. Mm-hmm. I've never heard somebody say this was not worth watching. So, so the fact that he was freaking out, I just want to say, don't be surprised. However, have not, I don't, that's not something that I only got so many hours in a day. And so I've not been able to tackle any Stardom, but that promotion won the second best promotion in the Observer Awards this year. So yeah, I mean, people love it, man.
What you got?
Yeah, I'll try to watch it tonight. I just haven't gotten to it.
Well, what else you got for us?
Well, we're recording this on Tuesday, so I want to give a happy birthday to Brother Love.
Happy birthday, Brucey boy.
And happy birthday, Tyler Bate. And then since this comes out on Thursday, happy birthday, Tiger Ali Singh.
Yeah.
Greatest. One of the greatest.
And today, also National Cereal Day.
Ooh.
Hey, got news for you guys. Cereal sucks. All right. It is a empty carb, just waste of space in your stomach and caloric value. If you eat any of the Cheerio or the Lucky Charm, any of that's the cereal that's like quote unquote cereal, like that puffed, whatever that is, I'm talking about. Like, I don't even know what it actually is called. Once you put with milk in it stinks. All right. Stinks. Makes me want to throw up. I can walk into a room and I can identify cereal with milk in it the way that I could if somebody just opened a can of tuna, right? Gross. So A, sucks. B, gets mushy and weird. What are we doing? C, it sucks so bad that they have to put marshmallows and shit in it just to get people to eat it in the first place. And D, it's just, I don't have a D. Just it sucks. I hate cereal.
Well, that was Burying Cereal with Teddy Mongoose. I'll put over some cereals, although you just got to watch out for that Red Dye 40 though.
Oh yeah, not only that, dude. Yeah. Hey, here's
in high school.
Bro, how about you get some type 2 diabetes? Let's put you on a monorail straight to type 2 diabetes land, and while you're there, let's stop off at ADHD World with all the chemicals and add-ins and gunk and junk that they're throwing in there.
Oh yeah. I'm still gonna put over Crunch Berries, Captain Crunch Berries, all-time favorite. Coming in right behind that, you got to go with Fruity Pebbles. So I'm just getting all your dyes. I'm trying to think of another one. Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Apple Jacks, Lucky Charms, big Frosted Flakes guy.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch is the best.
See, I'm a big Crunch Berries guy. I can't tell you the last time I ate cereal though.
Yeah, I mean I haven't either, but it's I still would. I'm not a cereal psychopath like other people on the Podski.
Listen, bro. every once in a while, Baby Mongoose gets a box of cereal because Mrs. Mongoose is still a closet cereal fan, and it's a waste of money. It's a waste of calories. It's a waste of time. It's just very frustrating because
I don't disagree with any of that.
Yeah, and it's always, dude, like when she gets Lucky Charms, Baby Mongoose loves Lucky Charms, dude. She does what every 6-year-old does and just eats the GD marshmallows. Yeah. And then I gotta smell the stinking rotten cereal part in the milk. And then I gotta pour it down the drain or pour it down the garbage disposal because she's 6, obviously, and I don't want her to lose a hand. And so like I just see, oh my God, I want to vomit.
I'm dying at your hatred of cereal.
It's been for my whole life. It's been like this, man. You know, like when me and Mrs. Mongoose started dating, I remember like whenever we first moved in together and everything, I could walk out of the bathroom after my shower and everything to get ready to go to work, and I could smell if she had Cheerios in a bowl. Because you know it stinks like job guy. Absolutely terrible.
Oh, that is fantastic.
Well, in shows from the past week, so I watched those 3 ladies' night out shows on Title Match. I had to watch them a week late because of the horrific power outage here in the county. So yeah, I watched those 3 shows. You know, look, there was good stuff on there. I'll say one thing about it. If you're an indie wrestler, and you're not in a place like the WWE where they make you wear whatever gear they want you to wear and they change your name and all that kind of stuff. If you're in complete control of your name and your appearance and your gear and how you're presented, it's probably a good idea to put a little effort into that.
Gear
says who? Dude, go out there in curlers in a robe or whatever and see what happens.
Some of them did.
I guess curlers in a robe is that's not a very 2023 friendly thing, right? But you get what I'm trying to say, right? I love it. With one of those masks on with the cucumbers on their eyes.
Wendy Cho will probably do that tomorrow night.
She actually does still do that. So they would just be jacking her gimmick.
Just like Valhalla jacked that one girl in the Indies gimmick.
God, Valhalla is the worst.
Oh,
Andretti, spit some more game at me with this ladies' night.
It was good. There was a couple of pretty good matches on there. Like that Ashley D'Amboise and Camille Brickhouse match was okay. You know, Brickhouse has gotten better. I wouldn't say she's very good, at least not yet, but she looks great. I mean, she's got a hell of an appearance, you know, and everything for sure. She's definitely gotten better, but you know, I don't know if she's quite there to put her over yet, you know, with anything. But you know, Kenzie Page was on that show. She's really young. She's pretty raw. But she's got a good look and she looks confident in the ring, which I thought was really good. You know, her and Billy Starks both have really bright futures in the industry, obviously, and they're young and they're you know really good for their age and everything. But you know, I hope that nobody signs them yet. I really do. Like I don't want to see them get signed by AEW yet. I don't want to see them go to NXT. Like let them just stay on the indies and keep working and training and in being, you know, exposed to different styles and all those kind of things and working with different people for another couple of years until they get signed by somebody big. Because I would not want one thing I really don't like, especially with like AEW is pretty bad about this, is, you know, they sign people before they're ready to get signed. Let these people kind of earn it a little bit and work and kind of simmer a little bit on the indies or on the you know worldwide on different shows before we start bringing people in and putting them in positions that they're not ready for yet. But I think there's a couple women that were on that show, and the couple that I mentioned already. I saw a woman on Dark last night that trains out here with Rikishi. Her name was J-Rod, and she's big, you know, great look, athletic. Be awesome, you know. It would be awesome to have her in there too, but she's not ready for it yet. So let's just I watch those shows because I'm watching prospects, right? And I'm looking for people that down the road are going to be something really important, because that's just naturally how I watch sports. I love minor league baseball. I love minor league hockey, all that stuff. But there's people out there, man, that are going to be really good. I just hope we don't rush it.
So going to your AEW thing, where they said they signed people too early, I 100% agree with that. And I don't know if that's because they're too afraid to lose them to WWE. So they're just
then don't put them on TV when they're not under contract.
Right. But they're just very insistent when, as soon as they sign somebody, we're like, well, we'll give you a few shows on Dynamite. And hopefully that butters their bread for them, I guess, for a little bit. And then that gives them a little bit of something. And then it's like, go do your thing on Dark Elevation or whatever. I don't really know if I'm with that philosophy. They sign so many people, but it's just like we're never going to hear about them because they don't really have like a dojo or like NXT or something like that. I mean, they do an ROH, is what they should be doing, but it doesn't seem they do that. So I don't know. We've aired a lot of grievances with AEW over the last couple of weeks, but I would say that one should be mentioned, that they do sign people way too early and way too often now.
The reason, and I would 1,000% get behind the reason that they would sign them, is to be early. Better to be early and have somebody than be late and then them go to the machine. Because
But Mongoose, they don't all do that, because not everybody wants to go through NXT and go through training when they've already been trained.
Oh no, you're right. But I'm just saying, to have the philosophy of, if we wait until somebody's ready, we're not going to win a bidding war. Do you know what I mean? I get that. The hope is, now that they're doing the in the can ROH WCW Saturday night style tapings, that's what you'd hope that's for, because obviously Dark Elevation is a bunch of squash matches, or showcase matches, more than it's, hey, here's 15 minutes, go work. Now you can use that show, and that's what I hope that they turn Ring of Honor into. I really do. I thought that putting the belt on Jericho was great to help reestablish your company. Having it on Claudio's not bad. I hope that the next person, if it isn't going to be a Jay Briscoe, which, dude, just give it to Jay Briscoe. But if they don't want to give it to Jay Briscoe and they'd rather use him on the main roster, then I do hope that belt goes on somebody like Hook or Action Andretti or one of those people. And then that really turns into their, to their true developmental brand and everything. And so that's where you can let those people, I don't know, learn to, quote unquote, learn to work, and not even just feed into your style, but they do have so many people that do lucha and do strong style and do, catch wrestling. And so there is enough there that they would be exposed to different people, different styles and everything. It's just going to be interesting to see what the plan is moving forward.
Well, and NXT, it's weird with them because they're not really bringing in indie talent. They do at times. Like, obviously, Zoe Stark was an indie talent. It was really good. But there's a lot of people in there that are just athletes that they've signed, that were power lifters or track athletes or whatever it is, that they've then developed over the course of 2 or 3 years before they were ever on TV. So when you look at, here's an example I was thinking about the other day. When you look at Briggs and Jensen, right? I always call them the fake smoking guns on the Podski, right? But they're the cowboy guys in NXT, right? Why sign those guys whenever you could sign the Von Erich brothers that were in MLW? You see what I'm saying? But the Von Erich brothers are a little older. Why not just bring in these two guys that we can just develop in our own image and give them a cowboy gimmick?
Well, and that was, I do believe that was one of, and we'll see what happens now with Triple H and Michaels running the ship, because the one of the big edicts that swept through over the last couple of years was when NXT, before the changeover to NXT 2.0, that was from on high, that we're not signing indie people anymore. Like we're done bringing in all of these little indie guys, which sucked because NXT was hands down the best wrestling show on I guess it wasn't on television at the time, but the best, weekly show. And then those takeover shows were always guaranteed home runs because you had guys that could work, and not only could work, but brought with them their own, super, super insano indie fan base. And that was what made those shows so fun. And that was from on high. It's like the fifth time I've said that, but that was a thing of, we're bringing in, college athletes, we're bringing in fitness models, gymnasts, blah, blah, blah. And so that's why there is so many of those. That was probably two or 3 years ago that edict came in. And that is why you're not seeing a bunch of indie people getting signed.
Oh, it's the same thing as it is in any sport. When you bring in free agents, there's a lot of times where those people have bad habits.
No,
there is.
Why not develop them? Why not bring in athletes that you can pay less money and develop them on your own? And I'm not defending that. That's just what they're thinking. I don't agree with that tactic, but I think that's what they're thinking.
I completely agree. I do. And that's the problem with that is then whenever you do bring in people that have never taken a back bump, and then you have all of them go through all of the same training, then you're just going to have the same match with essentially the same body types, over and over again.
But that's what NXT has been. And that's what there's an NXT style.
Right.
That you see every Tuesday night is what you see.
Yeah, you're right about that. And
those
shows are getting better, but because those people are getting more experience, but they certainly aren't what they were, which was guaranteed the 5 best shows of the year were going to be takeovers.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that.
Well, WWE had, even the main roster has their own style. It's just the way that WWE works. You're going to watch a show, you're going to recognize that everybody belongs to that company, and that's how they're going to work. And that's just the way that it is. But not that I'm saying it's a bad thing, but yeah, no, totally agree. When you watch the shows, they definitely have a style, and I would say it's always a bad thing, but I don't know.
Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's not a bad thing. It's just it's what you need. As long as you're getting what you expect, it's fine. That was whenever we were talking about Hangman last week, and with Jay White, those are two people that I think Cody Rhodes, man, they can walk in there and work WWE style. Seth Rollins works WWE, and that's like that WWE indie style. So if you are of slighter build and you're an athlete, you have the WWE indie where you do super kicks, you do a big dive over the top, you do some sort of top rope, either like Falcon Arrow or 450 or senton or something like that. And then you have your big either forearm blows or something that gives you your double down for your this is awesome. That style, man, it is very, 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 it sticks out. Whereas if you watched Will Ospreay would, he's his own thing, right? Mm-hmm. But he can go in there and he can throw blows with Ishii, and then he can go and fly around with one of the Ishimoris or those types, or then he can have a mean guy match. And you're not really going to see that in the WWE. You're going to see that WWE indie style, or you're going to see the big man WWE, Brock Lesnar, big move, suplex, finisher, car crash through the barrier. You know what I mean? That is literally one or the other is the way that works.
And what's interesting about that too is we're talking about Baron Corbin and guys like that. Would that guy ever have success outside of WWE?
Well, not now, because the problem with it now is he's too old, and how you just said about bad habits. He's learned to work the WWE style. So he would go to, if you put him in New Japan, let's just say, and you put him against Great Khan, Buddy is grabbing a chin lock 30 seconds into the match. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he's not going to work. He's going to quote unquote work the crowd. He's not going to work in the match. And that's a hard thing to break. Cody Rhodes, whenever Cody first left WWE, Cody Rhodes matches stuck out on New Japan shows because Cody was working WWE matches with New Japan crowds. And there was a lot of New Japan, like I remember reading on Reddit threads and stuff at the time, whenever people were really dumping on the Elite, saying that like, this is New Japan, this isn't WWE, quit Americanizing, the king of sports. And so, that's something that he took with him too. Now, the good thing with Cody is that also allowed him to transition right back in with no problem.
Well, he's a student of what he does. To his credit. But you've got, hats off to Cardona too. And you guys know I'm not the biggest Broski fan in the world, but when he had those AEW matches, when he came in, he looked completely out of place. Now he's gone out on the indies and he's working GCW and NWA and all these different kind of styles of working with people who've worked all over the world. And I'm going to tell you something, man. Broski's better in the ring right now than he's ever been. I put over that match with him and Nick Wayne when Broski was in the Indiana Jones gear at that GCW show. That was a really good match. So, even though I'm not his biggest fan in the world, like I got to give credit where it's due. That guy's gone out on his own and he's done his own thing and he's learned how to work. And you got to give it to Mercedes Moné too for going straight to Mexico and getting trained down there before she made her debut in New Japan. That's really smart to do that, because then you've got the opposite end of the spectrum with that. You've got people like Saraya who jump back into a ring without working anywhere else in the world between the WWE and AEW, and she looks like the drizzling shits. Now the match on Sunday was probably her best effort and the best that she's looked in AEW, but you just see the discrepancy between people who only work that style, who've grown up in that system, when they go out and they try to take on people who've traveled the world and are students of their craft. It looks bad. And I hate to bury people, but it just you can tell right away when somebody has only grown up in that one environment.
No, that Broski thing that is great. I totally forgot about that mini AEW run, and you're right, because he came in there. And it is so funny because his body is so average in WWE in terms of size. And he came into the AEW and he looked like the Ferrigno Hulk. You know what I'm saying? Like he was just this Superman. And it was just insane to see that size discrepancy between coming from the land of the giants to the vanilla midgets or whatever. But that was very, very good point in Broski. He would have been the best example of, oh my gosh, this guy's working a main event match right now or whatever, and he's trying to do that on Dynamite and it just doesn't sync.
Yeah, that was such a good point. I'm really glad you brought that up, because I admittedly haven't seen those GCW matches, but from what everyone talks about, like everybody loves them. So if everyone's saying the same thing about something, like you got something there. So yeah, I applaud Broski for going out there and basically having this like King of the Indies gimmick. I dig it. Hopefully we see him out in LA when we go.
I'm watching all his matches now, man. Whenever he's on those GCW shows, and because I have the Fight Plus subscription, so when he's on those shows, or I can catch him on some kind of indie show online or something, I go out of my way to watch his stuff now because I think he's doing a great job.
And that's only going to help him in the end, because his ultimate end goal, I'm like 100% certain, his end goal is to make it back to WWE and be somebody different than what he was while he was there. Like he wants to do the Cody thing. Like he wants to go back and be. I don't know if Broski can be a guy like Cody, but he could be a major player in that division, I feel like. And he doesn't even have to be in the big heavyweight division. He could just be a mid-card guy that actually comes in and like fucking rules the roost now. Like he could be a dude like that, which would be awesome.
That's another guy that they could have ran with, who got himself over, who worked hard and made something out of himself and made the best of his opportunities when he was there, and they didn't do jack shit with him.
No. And that dude works hella hard on the indie scene. Like not even just indies, but like with all of the figures that they do. Like their podcast is fantastic. No free shout outs, but he does a there's all their stuff that they do is really good. I mean, there's no reason to really buy 87 versions of the same person in 87 different figure formats, but if that's what you're into, it's totally what you're into. But
they got people that'll do it, man.
Exactly.
That's just it. Is there's enough of a market that they can keep doing it. So good for them.
Seriously, good for them.
So yeah. I wanted to bring up the thing about. I'm glad we were talking about New Japan there a little bit. So New Japan Cup started a couple nights ago. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to catch it. Have either of you had a chance to catch up with any of that yet?
I have not, but I plan to.
There's only been two events. There's only been two events so far, so you're not behind.
Okay. Yeah, that's my plan. My plan is to, because the whole thing's over in 2.5 weeks or whatever.
I think the 16th is when it's over.
What's that?
I think the 16th is the last night.
Oh, okay. I thought it went until the third week. Regardless, I
might be wrong. I might be wrong about that, but I think that's when it's over.
Absolutely, though. I'll catch up. So if you have thoughts, go ahead and give them. But I was hoping, and I'm not here to book John's show for him, but I was hoping that we could get a little New Japan Cup review show in there. So
we will. I'm sure we will. I watched the first two, and the good thing about those shows, Mongoose, is that you're not getting wall to wall Japan Cup stuff on those shows. It's only like 2 matches a night.
Yep, and that was the reason that I knew that I'd be able to catch up is I assumed it'd be G1-ish to where I could skip tags. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if I just wanted tournament matches, that it would be something that I could catch up in on a weekend or night or two or whatever.
Yeah. So night one, I kind of blew through the other matches too, just like kind of how you were saying. But my boy Nakashima was on there in a trios match and looked great as always, looking like a Japanese kid in play with that haircut. So that was awesome to see him in there. It's good, man. I love seeing those young lions get in there and get on these shows and get to mix it up a little bit and work with tons of different people every night of the week. It's really fun to see that. That first night was Naito and El Phantasmo, and then it was Tai Chi and Sonata in the main event. So in that Naito beat ELP, which I was not shocked at that. Naito looked pretty good. He looked like he was moving around pretty good for a guy that came off all those Fantastica Mania shows where I think he worked every single one of those events for Fantastica Mania. I mean, Naito looked pretty good. Once he got going, he looked good. So both those guys, did a good job in that match. But with the Sonata and Tai Chi, I mean, my bracket is already busted here because they put Sonata over Tai Chi in the first round, and it looks like they're gonna play the Sonata thing here a little bit and kind of pump him up. And I think Kevin Kelly said that the final event for the Japan Cup was in Sonata's hometown. So they're kind of teasing that a little bit, but I hope they don't take Sonata all the way to the finals with that thing. But he looked okay. I mean, he's got a new finisher that looked pretty awesome. But I mean, for whatever reason, that guy just doesn't move the needle for me. It's kind of like a 1-speed match with him, and it's just not my thing.
I don't blame them though. If they would happen to give him a little mini shove here, he's one of those people, man, where we've seen it for years and years and years where when you got a certain look, you're a certain body type, you can do certain things, you're going to get chance after chance after chance. And I can't fault them. Do you know what I'm saying? If they want to see if maybe they can get lightning in a bottle here, what's the harm in doing it now? Now, if they want to crown him or whatever, like put the thing on him and then give him the title shot, I don't know if that would be the best move depending on how everything else shakes down. But I don't have any kind of issue because we were just talking about, what do they got in the coffer? Who's the next man up? I would rather the engine get behind Sonata than, have David Finlay be the new Jay White leader of the Bullet Club, which I saw that happen too.
Dave talked about that this morning and said that Dave Finlay match that they had, I think on night 2, that he said was awesome.
I don't know if I would say it was awesome. Dave
put it over huge this morning. So
I think it was okay. I mean, it was probably good. It definitely was not awesome. And I'll tell you about that right now. I mean, they put Finlay over Ishii. it's not a shock, right? It's probably smart booking because you want to have him beat a guy that everybody thinks is a tough guy, right? And that's completely fine. I understand. But the issue with that is that Ishii hasn't won a match since 1985. This guy has lost matches for months. When's the last time Ishii's won a match? You know, and I kind of figured that it was going to be Tai Chi going really far. And look, I'm not an idiot, man. I'm sure we all kind of figured out that Finlay was going to go really far after the Jay White thing, but it just feels predictable. It feels forced. Finlay doesn't do anything for me at all. It just feels like a guy being purposely pushed instead of it happening almost like kind of like a more natural thing. And I only look, I know it's pro wrestling. I'm not an idiot, but the reason why I say that is because it felt very WWE, where all of a sudden a career loser starts winning tons of matches and we're supposed to give a shit.
Yeah, I understand. The Ishii thing though, you're right that he has not been, he's not been getting his hand raised very frequently. But if I'm going to look into gaze into my crystal ball here, that sounds like a G1 storyline in the making. Oh, Ishii, does he still got it? Is he going to be able? Is he going to be able? Is he going to be able to go through this tournament? And then all of a sudden, when he's 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, do you know what I mean? Like I'm getting goosebumps talking about it, man. They're really, really good at that stuff. And so
they're playing that card. They're playing that card right now with Sonata.
Yeah.
But the other match on that card, with the other New Japan Cup match on that card, was Umino and Bad Takahashi. So Umino beat Bad Takahashi. Umino looked fantastic in that match. Actually, Takahashi looked pretty good too. But I'm not totally out on that guy anymore because I feel like the dastardly kind of heel stuff he does is pretty good. But I mean, Umino's probably a future, champion for them, and he looked awesome in that match.
So is he? Would that be
that guy? Like, he's got the athleticism. He looks aggressive. He looks tenacious with everything he does. He's got a real future, man. And like, I'm really excited about Umino, man. I really am.
Would that be mid Takahashi then?
We call him mid Takahashi. That's fine.
I'm trying to think of a clever play on words with that. I'll try to think, and I'll probably butt in the middle. One of you guys is talking whenever I finally think of.
There's no show tonight, I don't think. So maybe I'll try to catch that. Maybe I'll try to go catch that Stardom show tonight.
Yeah, I mean, they put it over really big, so it might be worth watching.
Yeah.
You got any more shows you want to talk about?
I mean, I got stuff coming up that I was going to put over. We don't got to do it now unless you want to do it. Like, I can talk about it right now if you want, or we can wait. It's up to you.
We can move on. I know that we want to talk about the big shows coming up that we're going to do. Andretti and I are going to do a show on our own. I'm thinking next week. So, spoiler alert, we're going to do that probably next week. I'm thinking where we are going to lay out our travel plans for WrestleMania week. So we're going to come on here. We're going to talk about all the shows that we're going to go see during WrestleMania week, how you can watch them. So if you want to watch along with us, we're going to do review shows every single night after those. So we'll give a lot more details on that show, but kind of wanted to get that out there first, because that is going to be an entire show that we're going to do.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it is going to be awesome. We have a lot of shows we're going to do. So, but yeah, so stay tuned for that for sure, because we got a lot of good things coming up, at least in that regard. So, any other quick news and notes or do we want to do our top fives of the week?
Yeah, there's a couple things coming up I wanted to put over real quick. So that the NXT Roadblock thing is tonight. So by the time people hear this, I mean, actually, I don't watch those shows until Thursdays anyway. But people probably will already have known the results. But the Tony D'Angelo Dijak match, I'm really looking forward to watching that. I don't even know what else is on that card, man. I know that there's a stupid trios match between the Creed brothers and Breakker versus Mahal and Indus Sher, which I don't care at all about. But I don't even really remember who else is on that card.
Dude, we have Toxicity Collides. We have Gigi versus JC.
Well, I hope they do the right thing and go with Gigi, because JC Jane is just not doing it for me, man.
And then also, I can't believe I know this off the top of my head, but also there is a Grayson Weller versus Shawn Michaels confrontation that will be on that show as well.
Oh man, I would love to have Michaels come out of retirement and whip his ass. Actually, I don't want to see that at all.
I only want Michaels to come out of retirement if it's him and Kane versus Grayson Weller, and he can pick his teammate, dude.
As long as it takes place in Saudi Arabia.
Exactly. I want it in Jeddah. That's it.
The other shows, Friday is a big night. So Friday there's an HOG show on Fight Plus. I mean, I put over House of Glory a couple times on here. I haven't seen the card yet for that, but it looks like it's going to at least have Low Key in some capacity, and Kushida is going to be on there in some capacity. That should be a really fun show. I'm very much looking forward to catching that Friday night. And then from Australia, World Series Wrestling has got a 4-night thing called Unleash Hell. And night 1 is going to be also on Friday, and I don't know who's taking on who, but it's got Perazo, Valkyrie, Brian Cage, Flip Gordon. It's got Cardona, Myers, Redbeard, Bandito, Josh Alexander, TJP, Joey Janela, Blake Christian. I mean, all those people are going to be on all 4 of those shows in some capacity. And I think let's see, when is it's at 12:30 a.m. Pacific time, so it'll be at like 3:30 in the morning for you guys. But you can catch them. You can catch them the next day. They're all going to be on Fight Plus. I'm looking forward to catching all of those.
I remember them talking about that, I think last year on the Broski pod, how they went to Australia for all those shows, and they were like really good shows.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to check them out. I mean, Friday night's going to be a busy night for me watching wrestling for sure. And then we're going to the wife and I are going to Disneyland the next morning for her birthday. So it's going to be a late night and early morning, but I'm going to do what I can. I got my House of Glory t-shirt in the mail this week. I'm looking forward to wearing that all day Friday, and then getting on the sofa here with the recliner and having a couple drinks and watching a whole bunch of wrestling.
Hog wrestling, baby.
Those are awesome, dude. Those hog shows are awesome. And I don't know if I've ever seen World Series Wrestling, but this is a big event for them, and they've got big names. They've put a lot of money into bringing those guys over there, so I'm looking forward to it.
Nice. All right, well, you got something you want to put over, or Mongoose, before we head to our top 5 of the week?
I was going to say something, and it either was not important or wasn't true, and so you could just skip me.
All right, well, here comes our top 5 of the week, so hit the music.
Top 5 with Andretti, Mongoose, and the man of 1,000 gimmicks, John Baker.
So I will go first on my top 5.
Oh, I like this. Switching the order up. Give it.
All right, number 5, I have the CM Punk MJF 2-pack that came out this week. It is the Blood and Guts dog collar match. Really excited for that. That is a really cool set. Interesting that they kept old Uncle Phil in the line. They also announced his LJN figure as well over the weekend, so he's still in the line. Now, it could have been because those figures are well down the line. I think the rubber will meet the road if he is in that next Supreme set. If he's in Supreme 4 still, I think we might be all right, Ski. But yeah, I wanted to put that pack over. My number 4, I really want to put over Up, Up, Down, Down. They've been doing a lot of previews for the new 2K23, which I will be doing a review show on that when that comes out. It comes out, the early access comes out next Tuesday, and then it officially comes out next Thursday. So I won't have a show next week. I'll have a show the following week. I believe that's going to be my lead into WrestleMania week, is the 2K23 review show. And then we'll probably do the New Japan Cup in there too that week. So we might have a double show ski week there for the listeners, but really want to put that over. They're doing a lot of really cool stuff with The new GM mode, they added a lot of new things in there, and they just dropped a video today. It was awesome. I am so stoked to do GM mode. This game looks really good. Like, this might be the best video game wrestling wise that we've seen since like SmackDown versus Raw 07 or 06. I would say 06 is better, but we have not seen a game of this like magnitude where they've got all this kind of stuff in there. Like, it looks really, really good. My number 3, I'm putting over Rebuilt. That is a workout program that is done by Joe DeFranco. Joe DeFranco, if you know who that is, he is a trainer. He trained Brian Cushing, some NFL guys, but he is also Triple H's trainer. And I bought into his system way back whenever Triple H was training for WrestleMania 32 with Roman, and I signed up for his like classes, and he gave you the full library to all his workouts. And I've been doing this Rebuilt workout
and all of the gas. That's it. You say Cushing and Triple H, like, so are you getting poked in the rear a couple of times a week?
No Podskis. No.
You sure?
Yes, 100% sure. I haven't done anything in a long time. It's not like you're going over and getting a bonus, some rage. But yeah, I wanted to put that over. I finished up my 12 weeks, and this is probably the best results that I've got since we transitioned the garage gym to the basement. It's been an awesome 12 weeks. Restarted it yesterday, so knees are a little soreski today. Went a little too heavy on the old box squats yesterday. So
I got news for you, brother. Every leg workout post 30,
yeah,
it hurt more.
I know.
So up the water and take some fish oil or something.
Yeah. But I really want to put that over, because if you sign up for his exclusive, whatever that thing is, you get access to all his workouts, and they're awesome. And I've been doing his. I literally signed up 2 times in 6 years. I signed up a year and a half ago just to see like if they added any new stuff in there, and they did. So I got a brand new fresh catalog. So I got all kinds of their stuff. It's awesome. I love that Rebuilt workout. It's fantastic. My number 2. This is a Spotify playlist that I found. It is the best rap songs of 2009. It is a bopski. And I know that you're shaking your head, Mongoose, but there are some bops in there that I've forgotten about that, they are just fantastic. You should tell the listeners about that shake.
That was one of my fondest memories of young John is just standing in the parking lot, and an old Buick LeSabre. What was the car here?
Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme.
Thank you. Okay, so I wasn't far off. An Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme rolling by, and every time that whole spring, once it was windows down season, we had the game Shake playing. One of them things where that it was the factory stereo. The treble was up a little bit, but the bass was pushed way up. Probably busted out the factory 6x9s in there. And so I know that 09 playlist is your wheelhouse. I'll tell you what, there'd probably be a couple of things on there that would pop me, but I just couldn't imagine what else is on there other than like, I don't know, 7 or 8 Drake songs and some Lil Wayne.
There was some Khaled on there. There was some Jeezy.
That Khaled time would have been right around there. That I'm So Hood.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, what about is Shawty Low? R.I.P. Shawty Low. Was that 09 or was that 08?
On the
they know that song was awesome.
Yeah, that one. The other one that popped me huge was Cuddy Buddy. That one was on the 09 one. That one popped me huge. Your face just says that all. It is such a fantastic playlist. I had that blaring in here on Saturday. It's so good. It's so good. But to double back off that, my number 1 This is a duo that I feel is undefeated, and that is Justin Timberlake and Timbaland. Those two together, babes. Those guys together, they have made so many bangers over the years. And then I got into Timbaland's Spotify playlist. That guy's got a catalog, man. That catalog is deep and it is awesome. So that is my top 5 of the week, and they are some nostalgia throwbacks, but they were worth it.
I love it, man. I love it. Andretti, you want to go?
Yeah, I can go. I just
I don't know if I've caboosed
during rap talk.
Yeah, I gotcha. I don't know if I've caboosed yet, so you go ahead. I cannot wait for yours to be about the 2010 rap playlist, and I hope John totally just stole all your shit. Well, once he said Timberland and Timberlake, and you were like, and you had to like cross off you're instantly like you went quiet because you were just thinking about something else to put on there.
I put on my little sleeping cap and just went to sleep with a little candle holder in my hand.
Love it.
All right, so my I've got one for honorable mention this week, and I'm going to put over. I know I said me and the wife are going to Disneyland this weekend for her birthday, and across the parking lot is California Adventure, which is also owned by Disney, which is another amusement park. So there's a bar at California Adventure called Carthay Circle, which has incredible drinks and incredible food. You can't even walk up and get a table, man. You have to have reservations like days or weeks or months in advance. So I'm definitely looking forward to going to Carthay Circle and having a couple old fashions and sitting there and doing some people watching and making fun of a whole bunch of people as they walk by and spending $100 on cocktails.
I hope also happy birthday, Mrs. Andretti, early birthday, but I hope that she flashes the badge and she got you in there with some with all that power she's got out there.
Yeah. Okay, so my number 5, I'm coming in hot with this. Okay.
Right.
People that make cooking pans have got a lot of heat with me now. And I don't like it when you make a cooking pan that has rivets where the handle is, because when you cook with it, you can't get the damn food out of the rivet. And that pisses me off all the time. It should be one solid piece. It's 2023. Figure it the fuck out.
Hey, man, the missus and I, we've been changing all of our pots and pans because we had all the coatings, because all those Teflon coatings and stuff like that, pretty sure they're giving you cancer. So we've been making a hard transition into all, which I already had a set of the all stainless steel pans and stuff like that, but using a lot more cast iron now. Cast iron's awesome. You got to take some time to prep it and clean it up and all that afterwards. But
once you get it seasoned, baby, she's good to go.
Oh yeah.
Once she's ready, throw some oil in there, turn the oven on, throw that sucker in.
Yeah.
Even if you peel it off. Yeah. Cast iron's the TITS.
Is that a real thing? Seasoning a cast iron pan?
That's what they call it. That's all. Because back in the olden days, baby, they used to just cook rabbit and cow tongue and whatever, and you didn't have Dawn readily disposable, so you just let that stuff build. So I'm fairly certain that that's where that came from. Anyways,
he says back in the old days, like him and his dad didn't just cook a rabbit like 2 days ago.
Right. Squirrel with some elk.
Yeah.
Okay, so my number 4 is the ROH Women's Tag Team Division. I don't like. I'm going to put over Emi Sakura yet again. Emi Sakura is so good, and she's so experienced, and she's so confident in the ring. She's so good working the crowd. Why is she not the ROH Women's Champion? I got an issue with Athena. Nothing's believable. It's not working. She's not a heel. Get the belt off Athena. Put it on Emi Sakura.
Oh, EBT body.
I always get Emi Sakura confused. Who's the other? Who is the former ROH champion, a woman's ROH champion that looks like Hoi Corlo?
Oh, I don't know.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
I don't.
All right, I'm on it.
Is it Roxanne Perez?
No, I'll be back. I'll be back with that one because every time when I started to hear her getting a lot of praise for her work in ROH matches, I was listening to spoilers and stuff. That's who my mind went to, this other person, and then I looked her up, and then I remembered who she was. Then I gotta find this other person. Go ahead.
Okay, so my number 3, let's see here. I've got Atlantis versus Mystico for my number 3. Great match. Awesome ending to a really, really fun week of wrestling with the Fantastic Mania shows. They had all the CMLL guys in the ring and a couple of the New Japan guys in the ring together at the very end. Everybody's, playing to the crowd and waving and bowing and everything. It was just awesome. It was so cool to see that. But what a great match to end that on, man. Obviously, the Atlantis and Mystico have had, a history for hundreds of years, right? So seeing the two of them close that out and have an awesome match was really cool. My number 2 was we're probably going to talk about this more, but I put Briscoe and the Lucha Brothers versus Varsity Athletes as my number 2, and I don't want to talk too much about that right here because I know we'll talk about the Revolution pre-show a little bit when we get into the Revolution review here. But what a match, man! And I'll just leave it at that. That was my number 2 for the week. So then my number 1 for the week was the Kojima, Ray Kamada, and I think the guy's name is Iwa, and Tana versus Bushi, Naito, and Takahashi in the face paint, dude. And I know I sent you guys pictures of that in the paint. You just shared a screen, and I lost all my notes. Now I got to go try to figure out what I was talking about. Hold on, where am I at here? Thank you for that. But I sent you guys a picture of them of Tanahashi in the face paint. They all painted their faces like Ray Kamada in that Fantastic Mania match. They're all wearing the white paint with the black stripes. Dude, that was so awesome, man. To see that, I popped so hard at that, and to see the young lion get a rub from that and get to paint his face, I thought that was pretty badass. So that was a really great match at the end there with the final night of Fantastic Mania. That was my number 1.
I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to. I saw it was Sumi Sakai. And I the worst part about it is that I said that I was gonna blurt over one of you, and I tried to blurt over you and I didn't realize I was muted. So then I just shared the screen. And so not only did I steal your notes, but then I couldn't even talk about the person that I was talking about. So I'm really, really, really sorry for the inability to internet there. This is who I was talking about. Sumi Sakai. You remember her?
I do remember her, but I don't know if she's still in ROH or if she's anywhere.
Yeah, and she was the one when you said, because you're not the only person that I've heard say that, like, experienced and good in the ring and everything. And so my mind went to her. And so that was whatever I was talking about, because as you started to talk about excuse me, what's her name again that you were just putting over?
Sakura.
Yes, that whenever you're talking about Sakura, I had to look her up because I've heard her name several times now, just to be like, was that her? And it was not her. So Sumi Sakai is who I was thinking of. So I'm really sorry for derailing your top 5 there, but I guess it's my turn now. So let me look here. So we've had a pretty eclectic mix again so far. My first one is going to be non-wrestling related. And this one, get your sleeping cap out there, Andretti, because Daddy in his hand is holding a pair of the 2023 Air Jordan 3 reimagined white cement. Dude, these are works of art, man. They're absolutely beautiful. The leather is nice and soft right on the toe. None of the leather is cracked the way that they had the Chicago ones cracked. The only thing that shows aging is the back tab and then the midsole. And it is really, really well done. Everything else is crystal. Oh, and the eyelets are a little yellow too. Everything else is crispy, crystal clean leather, polyurethane insoles. They got the tongue tucked in, low cut elephant print, the nice toe shape. This is a perfect retro, man. I did not have the originals, obviously, because I was, 3 years old whenever these things came out. But for me being into sneakers, this is a really cool have. And then I want to put over Nike really quick because the reimagined set is, their newest big deal thing. And I do not get exclusive access for anything. I very often lose draws. There's plenty of releases that have come out that I did not get that I, mother bleeped them up and down for. And I got exclusive access to both the Chicago Reimagines and the white cement Jordan 3s. And that's pretty cool. I've been a Nike.com member since 2006. I've entered hundreds and hundreds of raffles and things. I've given them a lot of my money, man. And it is pretty badass that for a set of shoes and 2 pairs so far, they're supposed to be for your quote unquote, sneakerhead base. To be able to get wins on both of those was awesome. And so that was my first one. My number 4 is, I brought him up before as my favorite little geeklet, and that is Mike the Miz Mizanin.
Yeah.
Dude, he is perfect, right? I mean, he's perfect. He was an annoyance and nothing else to say for years because he was pushed as your upper mid-card credible heel. And he could talk anybody into watching a match. And then once the match started, it was the same mismatch that you've ever seen over and over again, 200,000 times. And, it really got stale. And what I love about it is, and I don't know if this was the management or if this was Miz himself, but he said, or somebody said, "Hey, Mike, you're a geek. And you're really good at being a geek. So be a geek." And he comes off as being self-aware. That's what's cool, is that he doesn't feel like he's playing a part as much as he knows what he is. He knows what his role is, which is get over other people, get over segments, get over shows. And he does it all so well. When he was just the host of the Challenge All-Stars or whatever. He was great in that. They did that one Best in the World challenge thing where they had Victor Cruz be the host of the first season. And then they juxtaposed that with Mike the Miz being the host of the second season. And you could see, man, where one guy had it and one guy didn't. Victor Cruz was fine, but Victor Cruz did what I'd have done, which would have been just read off the cue cards and smile. And Mike the Miz is, he's just mizzing. And he's really, really good at that. And when I watched that Raw segment with Logan Paul and Seth Rollins, and Mike the Miz brought out Logan Paul, and he put his hand out to shake Logan Paul's hand, and Logan Paul totally just gave him the yoink, walked right past him, and Miz just stared at his hand. And then once that was over, he went to talk into the microphone, and they immediately hit Seth Rollins' music before he could say a word, and his histrionics and everything were all great. And then we had Seth, he was trying to talk over Seth, and Seth put his hand on his microphone. The Miz is he's very, very good in this role. And he can wrestle now, because if he wrestles, I don't expect him to win. If he wins, it'll be slimy, and he's going to lose in a blow off anyways. So I'm totally in on Mike the Miz after years and years of, can I please never see Mike the Miz again? So good for him. My number 3 thing this week is the game Quirkle. If you are not familiar, Quirkle is it is a matching game with you have different colored and shaped tiles, and the idea is to get 6 in a row of the same color or shape. There's all sorts of different combinations and things that can go in, and you basically score it sort of similar to Scrabble. Awesome game, really fun. Me and the missus we played it like 5 times last week, so that's why I had it on here. But Quirkle's an awesome game, easy to learn, get through an entire game in like an hour-ish. One of those goods get your brain going, keeps you engaged and everything. You have to think in between, so that it's not one of those things where you make a move and you can just look at your phone or look at your TV or whatever. So it really keeps you engaged the whole time. So Quirkle's an awesome game. My number 2 thing of the week is, as I said, we had a little date night on Saturday, and because we are now parents in our late 30s, we watched the movie Coco, and Coco was awesome, dude. It is a story about a little Mexican boy. He just wants to be a musician, and he spends all of his free time, begging his parents, please, I just want to be a musician. And they say, we don't get down with musicians up in here. And then he has a trip to like the netherworld, because it is, there's the Dia de los Muertos celebration for the Day of the Dead. And so they bring in all of that with the, they have all like the candy skulls and everything are all down there. And the whole idea is don't forget the dead. And if you forget the dead, then the people in the land of the dead disappear. And it's really touching because they're obviously like the Day of the Dead is the remembrance of, and they turn that into a movie that was engaging and funny. And then of course I cried in the end because I cry every time something happens sad in movies that involves parents, children, or anything like that anymore. But the movie Coco was awesome. So I'm really glad I saw that. And my number 1 thing of the week, with a bullet, boom, no doubt about it. My Sunday night was awesome. Look, man, a mediocre build, but we just got done saying that those takeover shows were the 5 best shows of the year. It is in Penn every year for the last 3 years. AEW will put on the 4 best pay-per-views of the year. That's it. It's it. They might not have the best match of the year. They might not have the best storylines of the year. Those shows are killer. And that show was killer. And there was a whole bunch of nerves about this one from all of us for different reasons. And from the second that pre-show started until the second that Iron Man match ended, I was all in, completely all in. It was magic, man. That was a great show. And so that's my top thing of the week.
Love it. Love it. Absolutely. We're going to get to the AEW review here pretty soon, but we got other business to take care of because last week we started our top 10 things that we hate about wrestling, and we got through 10 through 6. So we are going to wrap that up today with 5 through 1. And all 3 of our choices last week, all 15 were fantastic. And I can't wait to see the remaining 15. So does anyone want to go first? Switch it up a little bit.
I kicked us off last week, so I can continue on this week. I'm cool. I got mine ready to go here.
Yeah. Do you want to give us your 10 through 6 and then hit 5?
Yep. So my 10 through 6 were when the camera doesn't follow wrestlers like it's a sport, or wrestling isn't shot like a sport, basically where wrestlers play to the hard cam or find a camera instead of letting the camera find them, because in every other competition in the world, the camera finds the athlete doesn't find the camera. My number 9 was the what chant. My number 10 was when companies own names and not the wrestlers. So I do like whenever wrestlers have they can go from place to place and they don't need to rebrand themselves unless they want to, and so whenever companies like, that's the WWE famous for, get to NXT and change your name or whatever. So that was my number 7, my number 8. My number 7 is Swerves for Swerve's sakes. And then my number 6 was when there is referee interference, with interference or a ref bump. And then a ref bump comes from the back, let me try that again. Reading's hard. So when there's interference and a ref bump, ref is down, somebody comes in the ring, beats up a guy, hits him with a chair, bloodies him, does whatever, and then a referee comes from the back and acts like he never saw anything and just counts either the fall or the near fall or whatever, without disqualifying the very nefarious cheaters that are probably still around the ring with shrapnel and stuff all over the place.
Love it. What a solid or solid first five.
Thank you. So to go into my top 5 things that I hate. So here is what I did is I had 3. Okay. I had 3. So I had 8 things and I had 2 to go. And so I didn't know what I wanted to say because you guys touched on so many. And I didn't want to just rehash what you had already said because we, sort of discussed those before. And so I asked Mrs. Mongoose and Baby Mongoose for their things that they hated about wrestling. Right. And so they will be my number 2 and my number 1. Okay.
Perfect.
So yeah. So my number 5 is blatant blading. And here's why blatant blading irritates me. If you are getting color in a match, I'm here for it, man, especially when warranted. When you are good at blading, it keeps everything, it keeps the story going, it suspends the disbelief, it enhances the match. When I see you scrape your entire forehead with a razor blade and then hand it to a referee that then puts it in his pocket or throws it outside or whatever, it takes away from the moment a little bit, and there was the MJF gig off of that Danielson flying headbutt when all of a sudden Remsburg's in there, and he all of a sudden MJ reaches by MJF, picks something up, and throws it right out of the ring, and it's like, okay, well, we get it now. You had the Hulk Hogan versus Sergeant Slaughter WrestleMania 7, where he's sitting there and then he just across his entire head. Baby Earl was the referee there. Yeah, there are some Kenny Omega versus Jericho, I believe it was, where Red Shoes hands him the blade, and then Kenny tries to cut himself like twice, and then he hands it back to Red Shoes. Like, it's all right there. It really frustrates me because then you get somebody like a Shawn Michaels who gets the springboard or the monkey flip or whatever into the Hell in a Cell or the slingshot. That's it, from the Undertaker. And while he's in midair, reaches up, gigs his entire forehead, hits the cage, and is bleeding like crazy, all in midair, dude. Like that is a work of art. You know what I'm saying? So when you're a good blader, it's awesome. Bad blading or blatant blading, again, it from that moment, it takes away from it a little bit. My number 4 thing is glass and light tubes in matches. And I did have death matches. That was going to be like my number 1. And you buried them good enough last week. And the thing with it is I don't want to see people getting like legitimately hurt. That Texas death match that we saw was awesome. But the fact that they were, I guess, as safe as you can be with barbed wire was okay. But like that light tubes and glass and stuff like that really, really scares me. And so and it makes me uncomfortable, and it's not my thing. So glass and light tubes specifically, I can't deal with it. And then my number 3, which is my number 1, is that championships championships don't change hands via disqualification or count out. There's no reason for it. It is my biggest bugaboo with pro wrestling. Look, man, if you are a boxer or if you're in the UFC, and you get DQ'd, you lose your belt.
Yes.
So you want to tell me that in pro wrestling, that if I knock you out and you fall out of the ring and you're knocked out for a count of 10, I don't win?
Yeah.
Like win your championship, I mean?
Yeah.
it was born of the Bruno Sammartino. This is how we're going to keep the belt on him, and this is how we're going to get a return match and everything. And it's just been how we've booked then for 60 years, and there's no reason for it. There's no reason for it, man. If this is a simulated sport, then having that be the standard frustrates me. And so if I could change anything about wrestling seriously, that would be it, is that we would uniform, have belt changes hands on disqualifications or countouts. Because that would, again, if you were the world champion forever, then why not just get yourself DQ'd? Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. So, and that was the end of that 60-minute match where Remsburg screams at MJF, you hit him with the belt, I'm DQing you and you lose. That's the way it should be. Like if you do something underhanded where you need to win, then you should lose your championship. So that was mine. So to go to my actual number 2 and number 1 here. Number 2 is going to be from Mrs. Mongoose, where I said, okay, honey, I would like you to tell me the thing that you hate most about wrestling. My 2 is going to be an A, B, C, and D, because she gave me 4 things, which all popped me. So the first thing that she hates is when wrestlers die early and the negligence of the business isn't acknowledged. And so she came out hot and fire in there. Everything from drugs to steroid abuse to murder to falling from the rafters, and we're not accountable. She ain't down with it. So I was actually kind of embarrassed that I didn't have something like that in mind. So that was her first thing. Her second thing is how they just repackage people differently. And then her example was, why is Bray Wyatt in that clown mask thing now? And so I was like, okay, I get you. Her other thing was, what was it? 1, 2. Oh, my fault. She gave me 5 things. So her next one was ripping off of movies. Whenever they have characters that are blatant ripoffs of movies or TV shows, her line was, quote, "Get better writers." So that's fine. She's solid point. Her next one was nepotism. Because she's watched enough to say, why is this guy here? And I say, oh, because he's related to so-and-so. And she's like, well, he sucks. And so nepotism made it. And then her number 1, which I had to write down as she said it, was they did Black China dirty. Black China being a former Kardashian reality TV star, not China the wrestler. I guess both maybe done dirty, I don't know, but because she said they did Black China dirty, I was like, well, I'm writing that down, and that is my favorite thing that you've ever said, because she didn't have any specifics either, dude. Like, it's not like she went and gave me reasons of how they did China dirty or anything like that. But I think that this goes back to, we were watching I was watching like a WrestleMania or one of those like last days of China deals. And she got all into it, captivated by it. And apparently it stuck with her. So she's still pissed off that was her least favorite thing.
That was fantastic.
Yep. So thank you.
That's so hard for that.
She
have no idea
Google Black China really quick while I'm talking here to give you the baby mongooses, because when she said they did Black China dirty, I almost fell out of the chair
because they actually did.
Yeah. So then my number 1s are, these are the 3 things that my 6-year-old daughter came up with. So the first thing that she said, and this was just off the top of her head, is when they're not in the ring, you can absolutely hurt someone, and that doesn't make sense. So she hates it when wrestlers go out of the ring because somebody can get hurt. And I said, you know what? That was great, honey. Yeah. Keep it in the ring. the second thing that she hates, which would be my number 1B, is how they took away Bray Wyatt's song because it was my favorite. So not only did Bray Wyatt's Catching Flies song go away on WWE, but it's not on iTunes anymore. So she took that personally. Yep. And then her number one thing that she hates about wrestling, which is my number one thing, is when they paint their faces red instead of bleeding. Because anytime someone gets a gusher, I immediately have to say, oh my gosh, they painted his face again. This is so annoying. And so she thought that was her thing, is they don't have real blood, but they paint their faces red. And when she said that, I was touched, because at least she doesn't know that they've just cut themselves with razor blades and are bleeding all over the flipping place. So, yep. So that was my list.
That was awesome. What a dismount on that. That was great. Andretti, do you want to go next? Did you find out who Black China was yet?
Yeah, I looked her up and I don't care, but I and at least now I know who she is, I guess. Okay, so like I said last week, I didn't put these in order. I just wrote down 10 things. Actually, I have 11 now, but so the ones I went over last week were every kick out being on 2.9 instead of 1 or 2. You know what I mean? That was one of mine. Bad belt branding was one of them. Indie wrestling audio problems where something is 9,000% louder than other things. So that always drives me nuts. Indie commentary teams who drop tons of F-bombs and scream uncontrollably for no reason. Next one, no medical personnel checking on dead refs or dead announcers. And I think that was the 5. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think that was the 5 I had.
Love it. Let's got an honorable mention as you.
Okay, so I have 6. I have 6 here, and look, again, they're not in any order. So my number 6, which is probably, quote unquote an honorable mention. I put when baby faces don't have any friends and they're just in the ring getting killed by a bunch of people.
Absolutely, man. There's. I don't understand why we should cheer somebody that obviously nobody likes in the back.
Right.
Or, yeah, you're right. Doesn't make sense.
My next one, I have tag teams that are not branded. I know I complain to you guys a lot about that, but I can't stand it when there's a tag team that doesn't have a tag team name and don't have similar gear.
That is on your list. That I absolutely hate that. If I was making that, that would be an honorable mention on my list, but I absolutely hate non-branded tag teams. I hate teams that are just like Miz and Morrison. I hate that. Like, give them a name. I'm totally with you.
My next one here, I put full entrances for every appearance. That always drives me nuts. Every time somebody comes out, we don't have to play the music.
It depends. For me, that depends on if they actually have a good entrance. If they have a good entrance, like Cody should always take forever with all the pyro. I don't care if he's coming out to do commentary. He should have all of that pyro going off. I love it.
It's great though whenever there's a run in though, and instead of like going to save somebody, you have to get your shit in quick. Like Roman would have to punch the ground or whatever and then run out. Yeah.
Like Jeff Hardy when Jeff Hardy when he debuted, he had to do the day.
Yeah.
My number 3 then, I think I have 3 left here. So my number 3, when people like Tony Khan put their champions in matches with people who are moving half speed. That drives me out of my mind. And I'm talking about especially the situation we had a couple of weeks ago with Jamie Hayter and the Bunny. The Bunny got busted open, and the Bunny can't work for shit, but you have your champion in there in a match with somebody who can't work. And there's no reason for it, man. Like that, you're just putting your best player in that division in the ring with somebody that can't do anything right. And that drives me out of my freaking mind with safety and booking and long-term planning. I mean, why would you do that?
They're
man?
notorious for doing that. Tony
crazy.
loves to put somebody that's very unconventional that shouldn't be in a title match on Dynamite. He's very notorious for doing that.
I mean, look, if you want to get the bunny reps, then fine, but don't put her in the ring with Ruby Soho or oh God, I'm blanking on the woman's name. The professor. What's the professor's name?
Oh, yeah.
Serena Deeb. Why not put her in matches on Dark or even on Dynamite with Serena Deeb or Ruby or whoever you want to put her in there with, man. Don't put her in there with your champ.
I don't know. I don't understand why he's hell bent on doing that either. It drives me nuts too.
Okay, so my second one, and this one drives me nuts too. When people are in their gear without having a match, that always makes me insane. Like when you see people backstage or they walk out into the arena and they're in their
That's old
wrestling
Broski,
gear, but you know
babes.
they're not on the card.
Broski, they said Broski, it did not matter if he was on that show or not. Every show that he was at, he was in his gear from the start of the show to the end of the show. Always ready, baby.
I actually kind of love it. especially if you're gonna be back there just mashing cold cuts and pasta salad or whatever. I think that's pretty sweet. Go in there, get oiled up.
Yeah,
I can't go in. Another one similar to that is I can't stand whenever people are wearing jeans, but you can see knee pads.
I do hate knee pads under jeans.
that probably should have been on my list, but I with the showing up in your gear, like you were talking about Broski. I mean, look, man, I know that when I played football in high school, I mean, I would just wear my full football game uniform to class every day
without the pads,
just in case Belfont or Berlin Brothers Valley showed up out of nowhere and wanted to play a football game
or in case you got someone to do up downs in the hallways at 10:14 a.m.
It's so stupid.
That is so great.
So my number one, which is like, I'm laughing as I say this, my number one is when somebody tries to pin someone and they're spinning around on the mat while trying to perform the pin.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree.
Like they're really grinding the pin in as hard as they can.
Their legs and they're spinning around
in a circle. Dude, I hate that so much, dude. It's so
yeah,
stupid.
That is a good one. Wow, what a great 10 from you. Damn, that is awesome. Did you say you had 11? What was your honorable mention?
My honorable mention was what was my 6 here? It was number 6 for me this week. My honorable mention was when baby faces are just getting their ass kicked and nobody comes out to help because everybody hates them.
Agreed. Love it. All right, so my top 10 starting from last week was number 10 was being too many titles to remember. Number 9 was bad booking, which that's kind of a blanket statement across all of it. I should have been more descriptive, but number 8 was storylines that never end. And it feels like we're kind of living in that sometimes. Number 7 was death matches, and number 6 was part-time champions. So those were my 5 from last week. My number 5 is camera cuts, and I know that you touched on this a little bit last week, Mongoose, but it kind of goes into yours. But I hate whenever you're trying to watch something and they're cutting at so many cuts that I'm getting sick because I can't focus on what they're doing. WWE is notorious for that. Kevin Dunn, it's gotten a lot. I will say that it's gotten better since Vince has left and all that, but damn, those shows, if you go back a year or two ago, them things are unwatchable at most points just because they're cutting to so many camera angles. It's just like, just stay on one camera for like literally longer than a millisecond, because we're missing everything. They miss all kinds of stuff like that spear in the Royal Rumble.
and the worst is when it would be cut on every strike. And the idea is you cut away from the contact, so in case they miss. And in reality, we've thrown working punches for 120 years. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if you can't throw a working punch, then why are you even on TV in the first place? So yes, that's what gets really frustrating, is whenever they're doing punch exchanges or whatever, and everyone is cut.
Yeah, it's every strike, and I'll even add to that, it's the fucking zooming on the impact. Like, that zooming on the impact, oh, that is just so bad. And the guy, yes, you're doing, for the listeners, Mongoose is doing the head bob like that one guy was doing on the Seth Rollins boot kick on the ramp, and that dude is just bouncing his head up and down, and that camera's flying up and down. It's a great meme.
Listening to Scissor Fight while filming Seth, and Seth put the boots down on somebody.
Yes. Oh, it I can't I can't stand that. My number 4 is the ever chasing Undertaker character. Every promotion tries to find that character that is like the Undertaker with something supernatural. I hate it. Why can't we just let it alone? Because it's not like Undertaker, like the dead man gimmick. Listen, I'm not a big dead man gimmick guy. I am an American badass guy, because that was what I grew up with. So I think the dead man is the shits, but I love American badass Undertaker because it's more believable to me. And I know for Mongoose and Andretti, they're the dead man because that's what they grew up with and all that.
Oh, I'm all the way. I'm not all the way. When he went to heaven, man, oh my gosh, that was the seminal moment of my life.
I think it's one of the worst gimmicks in wrestling history.
That's a Sizzler hot take.
It is a hot take.
I just hate how how every promotion has to try to have somebody that does that, and they don't need to do that. Look at that bad boy right there. For the listeners, we got Mongoose. He's got a little something he's gonna put over here. He's got the you want to put it over, Mongoose?
We got a foam replica rest in peace urn sitting right here with me. That I've just showing the boys on the call here. Listen, man, whenever I went to my first WWE show when I was a little kid, the first gimmick that I ever bought was Bret Hart's sunglasses and pink Bret Hart wristbands. The second show that I went to, I got an Undertaker foam urn. And then the third show that I went to, I got a Tatanka foam tomahawk. Yeah, man, I love Dead Man Undertaker, bro. Loved him.
Oh, I think having a biker gimmick called the Undertaker is excellent.
It's so good,
dude. Most bikers work in morgues, so it makes perfect sense.
It's so good, and you done it now. You're gone and made a big mistake. And I can't allow. Oh, it's so good. We'll insert that music here. But
Yep.
Music is so good, but I hate the ever chasing Undertaker gimmick. It pisses me off. Number 3, this will go into what happened on Dynamite last Wednesday, which we'll get to, but I hate the bait and switch. I hate when they are baiting you and they're making you think that something's gonna happen and they just rip the rug out from under you and you're just like, nope, not getting that. I hate that. And they did that this week on Dynamite with making us believe that FTR was going to be this Joker team. And they didn't even have a Joker in their own gimmick match. That was absolutely bullshit. That was the very first match that we've ever seen a part of AEW. It was the Casino ladder match. It has had it's a gimmick match. And then on top of that, the Joker is supposed to be the whole big part of that entire match. And then you don't have a Joker. What is the point of doing the match? It's the whole gimmick, and you just shit all over your whole gimmick. So apparently they've already said that they've already done these before without a Joker. I find that very hard to believe. I'm sure they have, and if they have, I'm wrong, but I think it's the shits. I hate it. Bait and switches, no.
Well, and the other thing is that, and I don't know because I haven't kept a log, but the casino, like they called it a casino battle royale, which the casino battle royale was suits. So you would come out in suits, which meant that 4 people came out at a time. You know what I mean? And then you had the Joker, which was the last one, which was Lance Archer, and it was Brian Cage, and it was Christian. Was it Christian once?
I'm not sure if it was Christian, but Hangman was a Joker, I think, twice.
That was in a ladder match. Right? That one was but that was in the ladder match, wasn't it? Wasn't that the one in Philadelphia?
That was the one in Philly. That's when I was at.
Yeah. So I don't know, but that was the other thing that I thought was interesting was that they called it the Casino Battle Royale, and there were no suits, which you could still do with tags because 4 is divisible by 2. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Go on.
Yeah, that was it just infuriated me. But number 2, I have marathon wrestling cards, and the one that drives me up the wall that I think of is WrestleMania 37. That one that was in New York. I felt like that show was a marathon, even though we all spent that together. And great friend of the show, Fudge, he fell asleep literally seconds into the show. Literally drove to Mongoose's house, dapped everybody up, said hello, and by the time Lesnar's music was over, he was zonked out face down on the floor. And he did not wake up until the end of that triple threat match. And the other thing I can think of is that New Japan show at the Cow Palace where we had the Golden Lovers versus the Elite. The Golden Lovers versus the Elite, that Cow Palace tag.
The Golden Lovers, Young Bucks.
Young Bucks, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah. There was a Wrestle Kingdom or 2 before they split the 2 nights that were forever as well. It's like 6-hour shows. And then the bad thing with that is that you had like, I know that one year it was like a 6-hour show, and then they had Ibushi and Ospreay, and they had like 9 minutes. So what are we doing? Like, if I'm watching this long, man, what for?
The only thing that was good about that Cow Palace show was that Golden Lovers Young Bucks match is one of my favorite tag matches of all time. That match is so good. But yeah, I can't stand marathon wrestling cards. So my number 1, I will probably get heat for this, but I want to preface, I have a rebuttal. But my number 1 thing that I hate in wrestling is intestinal fortitude. But it is not Gorilla's intestinal fortitude. I believe that intestinal fortitude should have lived and died with Gorilla. Everybody else that's used intestinal fortitude after that, Stephanie McMahon, Mick Foley, all of the McMahons, all of them do not get to use that. It's overused, it's overdone, it's a fail safe for something that you have no idea what you want to say. They just say, oh, they got a lot of intestinal fortitude. No, it's enough. Let it live with the Gorilla. It was his deal. Let it live with him, and nobody else should use it. It's way overdone. When anyone ever says intestinal fortitude, like Michael Cole, it is nails on a chalkboard for me. I hate it. It makes me want to turn my television off whenever someone says intestinal fortitude. It pisses me off. And I'm getting mad thinking about somebody saying it right now, especially Steph, because Steph wore that saying out.
Yeah, I was just going to say, dude, for that to be or not, I'm not even going to. There's nothing I'm going to give you heat about or rebut. That is so out of nowhere. Good. I love it. I absolutely love it.
I know that you guys have given me heat about it before in the chat, though, because I'm like, intestinal fortitude sucks.
Yeah, and then we tell you suck, but it's cool.
I just can't stand it. Whenever Steph uses it, She used it during those authority days. She used it in every promo. It drives me nuts. I hate it. But that was our top 10 things that we hate about wrestling. That was awesome. And that was an Andretti idea. So thank you for that idea. But we got a show to review here. So AEW Revolution was this past Sunday. I thought the show, it exactly what you said earlier, Mongoose. This show delivered, and AEW is undefeated on pay-per-views. Every single pay-per-view that they've ever done, they've absolutely, it's a home run every time. It never disappoints. Yes, there are dead spots in the show, but if you look at that show overall, it's A+ every single time. And we all had our reservations about this one, and it absolutely just crushed all of those that we had during the show. From the first bell in that 0 hour match, the whole way until the final bell rang, it was top-notch shit. That I don't know how they can do much better than that. That was the best show that you could put on with that roster that they have now.
Literally every match but 2 over-delivered. And the 2 that didn't over-deliver weren't bad. They just weren't, A++. And so, and pacing, awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Match, finish, get to it. Match, finish, get to it. Yeah, great show.
Yeah, I love it. They don't like to spend a lot of time on these shows. They're not going to kill you with packages and commercials and stuff like that. Like once that final bell rings and they're out of the ring, we're rolling the music on the next show. Or the next match. So, but what'd you think, Andretti? What'd you think of the show?
I mean, how good is Justin Roberts? So good, man. He's so good. So I had a couple notes, about the show overall. Just, the crowd was great. Roberts was great. As always, they deliver big on pay-per-view when you spend your money. I don't think I've ever spent $1 on anything AEW that I regret. Now, maybe I'm forgetting stuff, but I feel like every dollar I've ever spent on their product has been worthwhile. For as much as I rag on them sometimes about it, but everyone's efforts with the show were just
and here's the
fantastic.
thing with it that I in having whatever 2 days to reflect since the show, I am very happy that all of us, and this isn't just all of us, it seems to be most sane people, sane wrestling fans. It's very good that there is criticism launched at that company that is not just criticism for criticism's sake. Like there's a lot of things that they don't do well. And then to bring those up and have those put into the ether, and hopefully reverberated and getting to the right people that are able to make adjustments and make change for a better product is only a good thing. If all the internet ever said was how good the company was and everything, then they would never get any better, and they could fall into lulls, and they could end up being 2016 WWE Network WWE, where we know you're going to watch, we're going to put on Great Balls of Fire, we're going to have this just rando, here's Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns in a 7-minute match that, like, you know what I mean? And that's not the way that they operate. The pay-per-views are killer because they still have to earn your money, and the product itself is far from perfect, and that's okay. As long as we continue to refine here, I'm here for it, because then that's also what makes it interesting. If everything was just great all the time, then we as fans fall into lulls. It makes you appreciate what they do well when they do it well, when everything isn't done well. You know what I'm saying?
That's very well said, because they haven't been doing the weekly shows correct, at least for me, because it makes me appreciate those shows that we got, a year and a half to 2 years ago, how good they were every single week. Like it felt like for 4 to 5 months at a time where every single Dynamite felt like a home run. And like I can't think of a time period where I've ever thought that every single show and every single segment that I've watched, like I was entertained in some way, form, or fashion. Like, yes, there was some, not everything was a home run, but I'm pretty sure that for a long time, you would look back on those Dynamites and we would all say that show was awesome. I enjoyed it. And now they're at a point where it's like, well, we don't really like Dynamite that much.
Well, you keep saying that, but dude, there has been amazing Dynamites this whole year so far.
I know.
And then we remind you of all the good stuff that we watch on Wednesday, and you say, yeah, but I hate Soraya. The fact is that they don't have enough to pull in 1.4 million viewers consistently, but if they've done what would that be? I don't know, 12 Dynamites or whatever so far this year. I bet you 7 or 8 were solid B+ to A shows. Seriously, man, there's been some awesome Dynamites.
I know. I get just the stuff.
They don't have buzz though. They're cold. That is true. And their bad is bad. Their bad is bad enough to make you think that it sucks.
Correct. That like their bad is so bad, and it's stuff I've complained about for 3 years. So that's why it makes me feel like it's not good. When in fact, like there are good things, but I can't see past it. And it's just, yeah. It's just me stumbling over my own dick. I can't get past it. So, but
and the other thing too is that's the evolution that the fan base is going to have, because when they started, not only the reason that it felt so awesome was we were rooting for them to do awesome. And now we know how good everybody on that show can be. And so it's the bar is set high. And so when they do well, then that means that is a banger show. And when they don't do well, then we've seen you do better. So do better. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's that part of it too, but their product is not, where it was. And then, we have to keep in the perspective that WWE is on top of the world right now. And Raw still sucks.
Yeah.
Like it's we just talked about how bad they have 5 hours a week and 3 of it isn't very good.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah, that you make a very valid point, is that WWE is super hot. This is the hottest WWE has been, I don't know, since WrestleMania 28, I'd say, mainstream wise.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think you're right there.
And so, like, I mean, that's 11 years ago now. So, like, and to even say that, like, they're hot, but like even their main show, which was supposed to be the main show, it isn't good at all. Like, that's saying something. So, like, we're WWE right now is overachieving, where it feels like AEW is achieving. They're just not overachieving anymore. Unless you're, like, in fact, where they are in most respects overachieving, the stuff where they're not achieving, I can't look past it anymore. It's driving me dead nuts now.
Yeah. Well, that's okay, But this show is still awesome. This was great.
This show absolutely delivered on all fronts. I absolutely love this show. This show is fantastic. This got me back in. I'm back. They reeled me back in, baby. But do we want to talk about that pre-show match at all? All right, so the pre-match show,
yeah, absolutely,
was an ROH Tag Team Champion Mark Briscoe and the Lucha Bros. They defeated the Varsity Athletes, which is Tony Nese and Josh Woods and Ari Daivari. So
them Lucha Boys is an awesome trio name.
Yes,
that is really cool that they did that. Dem Lucha Boys is great,
fantastic. And if they line them up for a future, like a trios tag deal, those are the kind of trios teams I want to see, like that.
The thing that made me happiest about it was that those 3 gelled so well together. So now let's get Pac in some singles matches, please.
Yes.
like I was even more excited because now I get to see Pac wrestle by himself.
Yes.
Yeah.
That match was so good. That pre-show, that might be that's probably the
for them
pre-show match.
Pre-show ballsy.
Yep, total party, and everybody hit their spots. And the best part about it was that they gave one of those, whenever I said that I hated Swerve for Swerve's sakes, when we got hit with the iPad or whatever, and you're like, oh, bro. And then there was the 2 count. Like, those are the things that, like, man, they're good. Like, those are, like an intermatch turn or whatever, that, like, that crowd went insane on that kick out. And then there wasn't any bullshit afterwards. We got the Jay Briscoe pin. And then afterwards, Mark Sterling, I put him over in the group chat because he's not my thing, but I will give him credit. The dude knows that he is a geek manager, and he bumps every time. He takes everybody's finish. He flops and drops all around. He always will look like a nerd, and good on him for that, man. Like, I cannot put him down for the role that he plays. If I didn't know him from the Major Figure podcast, maybe I'd see him differently. But I give him a lot of credit too. I thought top to bottom, that was an awesome opener.
Yeah, I put a note in here too, for my own notes about how good of a job.
Yeah, I thought everyone did really well.
I told y'all that Tony Nese and Josh Woods were awesome.
You've been very vocal
years
about, especially Josh Woods. Josh Woods is your boy, and I just, they are awesome. I just wish that they would make Tony Nese look like such a geek sometimes. But that too.
Well, I wish they wouldn't make Josh Woods look like a geek. But I mean, how awesome is Ray Phoenix, man? He's so fast and so athletic, man.
I really would love to see Phoenix do more single stuff. Because wasn't he the AAA champion at one point?
Him and Omega had that match from Poughkeepsie that we watched together, and then him and Omega had a 5-star match on a Dynamite right after Kenny won the title, if you remember that. Mm-hmm. So there was also the Ray Phoenix and Nick Jackson rando out of nowhere singles match that was like an insane 12-minute freaking just spot fest. So the best thing about the Lucha Bros is they are great in trios. They've been tag team champions, and either one of those two guys could be a legitimate world title contender. Yeah. And I hope that I just hope that they don't get slotted, because now that they went out of the tag thing, they're in the trios. Now they went from Pac to now Jay Briscoe. I hope that they don't just get slotted as only a trio with Jay Briscoe, because I want Jay Briscoe to be a single. And then I would like, if the Lucha Bros, man, let's go ahead and let's give put that All-American belt on one of them too. You know what I'm saying? Like, what would be the harm in that? Ray Phoenix absolutely and is a world title contender depending on who the opponent is. You're going to get an awesome match. And Pentagon, simply because he's the bigger one, that's with the heavy hitter, more strikes and everything, could be in a world title match tomorrow and be a credible and believable threat. And if they put the belt on him, nobody would be insanely upset either, So yeah, I think that they're the best.
I mean, I want to see Mark Briscoe in every card for the rest of AEW. I mean, that redneck karate stuff good. He does is
absolutely
fantastic.
Love it. But yeah, that pre-show match was awesome. But then we got into the main card. Before we move on to the main card, though, I have to put over Shivani absolutely stumbling over that explanation of what that final burial match was. That was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man, that was hard to watch. That was a total train wreck where he tripped up once and you could tell that he shook him up. So then he just kept tripping up. And it's crazy because he's very good at what he does. Yes. And he very often takes that stick and works the crowd. And I think that what really shook him up was whenever he did that thing at the beginning where he was like, and what about that Christian Cage? We don't like him. And it came out weird. And the crowd was like, yeah, you know what I mean? And I think that sort of got the ball rolling that oh my God, that was Yeah, that gave me the heebie-jeebies.
I hope that they talk about that tomorrow when they drop the pod. I hope that they talk about that. Maybe they might not have one because he's probably really busy with talent and all that, but I hope they talk about that because it popped me to the moon. Love you, Tony. But the opener was Ricky Starks versus Chris Jericho with the JAS was banned from ringside, which I thought this was a really good opener. Great opening match. And a rare occurrence of someone beating Chris Jericho 2 times in this case. So Ricky Starks gets the win here, which we all thought that Jericho was going to win that match in a smarmy, awful, dastardly way. I thought they were at first because the JAS is banned from ringside, but then Sammy runs in there. So, like, what's the point of even having that? And boy, do I hate Sammy, man.
Dude, he got murked by Action Andretti. That spear was awesome. Out of nowhere, man. He just totally hit sticked it. That was great. That was a really, really great spot. I thought the notes that I had here were, first, I thought that Ricky Starks' vest said shits. And so that popped me big to see him come out and me think, oh my God. And then I realized it said Starks. Mrs. Mongoose stayed up for 1.5 matches, and this was one of them. The first thing that she said was, this guy, speaking of Chris Jericho, go home to your aquarium, quit wrestling, give it up. And the reason she said that is because my mom made us watch there's some reality show where they install aquariums in people's houses. And the one that we watched was actually of Chris Jericho. And so Mrs. Mongoose took it personally and said, go home to your aquarium, give it up. She also buried his fake hair. She said he has some sort of like woven Hollywood hair piece in that she could tell because she's really, really good at like face makeup and stuff like that. And then she laughed out loud at the initial punch exchange. Like that was just her reaction. She just bursted out laughing. I liked it. I thought it was great. And then the things for the match that I had, there was an abdominal stretch spot in the middle, which selling Ricky's side, great. B, love me a good abdominal stretch, man. We don't see it enough. And when Jericho especially does those little homages to the past, I absolutely love it. And then the last thing that I wrote was this was an absolutely awesome opener. Starks Rochambeau after an amazing reversal, and that was him hitting the stopping the Judas effect in a way that we haven't seen yet. Was really, really cool. Starks clean win, like you said, very rare to get 2 over clean, and he did. And I was pleasantly surprised. And Jericho is still the best because that was awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Loved it. What you got, Andretti?
I didn't have much else other than just saying that I took Starks in that match.
I thought that he did. I didn't want to speak up in case I was going to be wrong, but no, Andretti totally said, give me Starks.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I knew as soon as I said it, I was wrong.
I mean, right call on the winner. It's the right call on the winner. I'm curious to see.
Yeah. So one thing
I
do want to say about this show is that this felt like a lot of endings to a lot of stories. So I think that this Dynamite tomorrow night will be really interesting because it was the encapsulation of a lot of these stories that have been going on some have been going on way too long, but some of them are just like that was just the ending of them all. So I think that we're going to see a lot of new, fresh things that we haven't seen in a long time or ever. So that's what makes me excited about this show.
Well, that's a really good point. And you know what? The inflection point last year was the Double or Nothing show because we had Punk win the title and then got hurt. And that was supposed to be them ride that Summer of Punk. And the thing that really started to spiral the company was that they did that battle royal for the title shot. And like, remember it had like, I don't even know. It had like Ryan Nemeth and just like random people in there, and there was no Moxley won it. Never mind. There was no Jericho. You had these former champions, and they weren't in the match. You had these heavy hitters. There was no Miro. There was no Malachi Black, nothing like that. And I think that really started the downward spiral there. And like you said, I think that maybe we have a chance at a little bit of a reset here going into the spring. And so hopefully we get it.
Absolutely. So the next match was Jungle Boy versus Christian Cage in the final burial match. I didn't have a lot of expectations for this match. I mean, obviously it was going to be a gimmick match, but I was over the moon with this match. It was amazing from start to finish. The start of it being Christian coming out in that sleeveless turtleneck and working that match in that sleeveless turtleneck, the tactile neck. I absolutely adore that. That was so good. The one thing I will say about Jungle Boy, he wore the jeans, you could see the knee pads in the pants. Yeah, did he
so
not actually? Aside from the knee pads in the pants, he actually looked believable.
I don't even have notes on this match because I completely forgot it.
This one was, yeah. And I'll tell you what, man,
and I loved
when they announced it, I was like, okay, and then they out of nowhere changed it to a final burial match. And I remember I read on the Observer page the day that it happened, where literally in the Observer page they're like, we don't really know what the stipulation is, and I'm thinking like, oh god, this is going to be a disaster,
right?
And this was awesome. Christian Cage, absolute MVP, man. He was excellent, dude. He not only the turtleneck, like you said, that scowl whenever he's bleeding, and he turned the table on Jungle Boy right by the casket, and he like scowled and smiled at the camera, was awesome. Him doing everything from throwing dirt in Jungle Boy's eyes to gouging his eyes. Dude, that's it.
Awesome was
so perfect, man. It was throwback dastardly heel stuff that was getting eaten up by the crowd. Jungle Boy was the perfect sympathetic babyface here because he just kept getting outsmarted by this, this rotten, experienced, dastardly, villain. And then finally at the end gets, not only does he get the win, but he got the comeuppance. He got the, screw you, buddy, concerto. Christian sold it like he was absolutely DEAD, just completely cold and, sandbagged as he's rolling over, flopping all over the place. And then the freaking casket dropped straight to the center of the earth. I absolutely loved it, man. This was excellent.
Yeah, it absolutely was. And then when they slammed the casket and it dropped to hell, like that was awesome.
Yep.
But then they moved quickly along, and we got what I thought, this is hard to rank the matches here, but when this happened, I thought this was match of the night, but then the other matches came along after. But this was the House of Black versus the Elite in the trios titles. And there for the longest time, I did not want Kenny to tag out. I just wanted the Bucks to just stand there and Kenny just keep fighting everybody in the House of Black because I love those matchups. They were fantastic.
Oh man, Kenny versus all three of them individually. I mean, give me all
Loved
of those matches right now.
And it was great the way that they set that match up and it played out. It was fantastic. I can't put this match over enough. It was so good.
Yeah, and what's crazy is that when exactly what you said, that this was my match of the night, and then the next one that I saw was my match of the night, and then the last match was my match of the night. So like it is pretty crazy that you had a match that was this bonkers, bananas, clean, not a missed spot, insane, dude. The near falls, the high spots, all of it was perfectly done, and the crowd was molten hot. and you had two other matches that were able to equal or top it, that is good on the entire locker room for that. My things that I had here were the Kenny and Malachi Black, that first exchange that they did, where they threw finishers at each other right away. That Malachi Black mass, that had to miss Kenny's face by, like, he had to smell the rubber on his boot. Do you know what I'm saying? It was so close. And then Kenny's facial to sell, like, woo, you almost got me there, was awesome.
Yes.
When Matt tagged in and said, give me the big guy, and the big guy came in and he said, oh shit, and tried to tag out right away, that popped me. I thought that was cool. And then the best thing with the Bucks in that match was they were in there versus Brody King. And the one thing that I honestly didn't want to see was Nick give Brody King and Buddy Matthews like the double Northern Star suplexes or Northern Light suplexes or something like that. And they let King be the giant. Anytime the Bucks were able to get heat on Brody King, they started by super kicking his knees, and then they'd super kick him in the leg or in the waist to literally have to chop him down to then do something, or it would take two of them to do something to really phase him. I thought Brody King came out of this match just looking like a world beater, man. He was so good. And I thought that they did an amazing job selling for him. And this was all three of the elite guys were great. The way that you had, again, when Brody would sell whenever he needed to sell, and he would no sell what he didn't need to sell. So if Matt Jackson's going to throw an elbow at his face, he ain't moving, dude. If he's going to get a double super kick, all right, now we're going to get wobbly or whatever. So that was all great. My favorite spot of this match that was not the finish, because that finish was awesome, was the Kenny Omega reaction to V-triggering Julia Hart. Dude, when he V-triggered Julia Hart and then he went, and then went right back at, I died, man. I absolutely died. And then also that finish of, we're doing a Meltzer driver, get cold cocked HBK Shelton Benjamin style with the knee, and then right into the Black Mass, right into the Dante's Inferno or whatever that spike pile driver is that Brody King does. Dude, that was great. And then, I mean, just out like a light Matt Jackson. I said last week that I actually thought Kenny was going to eat this, and then Kenny would be the one that would go and, fight the war. But the way that they did it was absolutely perfect. I have no problem protecting Kenny at all. And so I'm excited to see what happens next, man, because I would love to see, Kenny fight, especially King and Black would be great. Him and Matthews would be just fine, but him and King and him and Black's going to be awesome.
Yeah, they did an unbelievable job presenting Buddy Matthews and Brody King as like real ass kickers in that match,
it was fantastic. Brody King,
awesome.
I can't put him over enough for how good he looked. And I had said during that match that, like, I love how they're selling. They sold different for each member of the House of Black. It was fantastic. This is an early match of the night, match of the year candidate for the Podski Awards, because this match was fantastic. 5 stars for me for this one.
Listen, man, there's better matches, but I can't ask for anything else in a match. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that. Yeah, that there's nothing else that I could ask for. It was crisp. It was, again, the motions up, down, they're the near falls. There were 3 or 4 completely believable near falls. Saves were great. Selling was awesome. This is bravo.
All right. And then we had the women's title match with Jamie Hayter, Ruby Soho, and Saraya. And I didn't think this match was bad, but it was good. I didn't think it was bad. It was just meh. But yeah, Hayter retains. I thought that was the right move. And then we had the post-match angle where Ruby turned on Hayter and Britt, and she joined this. They joined the group of Saraya and Tony Storm, and we'll see where this goes. I don't know if I like it, but it was there for me.
I don't like it at all with the Ruby Soho thing. I think Mongoose, you had a much better idea when we were watching the show about what to do with Soho than what they came up with.
That was for me when her cocking Hater right off of that, I'm standing with you or whatever. And if it was so out of nowhere and it got such a reaction that if she would have just got out of the ring and gave everybody double birds and said, I can't deal with any of you ladies, like you're all the worst. I'm lone wolf in this. That's what I wish would have happened. I don't think that, because I don't think that that's heelish. I don't, because I don't know if Jamie Hayter and Britt are baby faces. Like they get baby face reactions, but they at any point in time can cheat. Nobody thinks any differently. And that's not the deal with Ruby. And so I think that you really could have kept her credible as an individual challenger. And I thought that her joining the other two was too cliche. And I thought that angle took away from the match because live, you both thought that somebody got hurt because they cut the match off. And obviously it was because they needed to get to the post-match angle because of timing. And that angle took away from the match because the match was great. And when I say great, I mean, everything was good, man. Spots look good. They're a good near falls. I honestly thought Ruby was going to win this. And the reason why is when she came out, I literally wrote down Ruby's look is great. I thought that she was very like headbanger-ish. And I really thought that she looked good. And I mean, like looked like she was going to win a belt. And she was singing her music and stuff, man. And she was acting like somebody that knew they were going to get the title. So when she lost, I was actually surprised. But the way that she acted on the way to the ring had me completely believing that she was going to win. And so when she had near falls, I was kind of thinking every time, is this it? So yeah.
Swerves for the sake of swerves, I'm not a fan of. And the crowd was really behind her. And I know sometimes that is a really, convenient time to flip somebody heel, and they get a lot more heat that way, but people like her for real. I mean, this isn't the time to do that. And unless you're going to make her a heel and put the belt on her, I don't think that's going to happen.
And it's hard to
I don't really see what the point of any of that was. It's hard to be a heel, when like, look, man, she is all, punk and all that with her look, but like, man, she got a great smile. Like seriously, like she looks genuinely happy to be out there and performing for people, and it's contagious. Like when she's all fired up and she walks out and she turns around and she's doing her, destination unknown thing whenever she comes out, she has infectious energy. And the crazy thing is that she was on the wrong side of this. Was it her that they put over and not Jamie Hayter? Do you guys remember the show? I think it was a Rampage show where they had Ruby beat somebody and the crowd turned because they wanted the other people or the other person rather.
Yeah, no, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was Hayter.
And the shame of it is that now Ruby earned them the whole way back. Right. Do you know what I mean? Like it went from we want the other girl to like we're behind this one, and it sucks that then they turn her, like it's not easy to lose a crowd as a baby face and then get them back without doing anything crazy, like just earning them back. And I feel like that they just let a good thing go.
Absolutely. But then moving on.
Yeah, I agree. The other thing about this too is that now we're just continuing the storyline where we've got these three outsiders versus Hayter and Baker and someone else. I mean, why are we still doing this? I mean, no one cares about that story. Just kill it. I thought they did the right thing and killed it. Apparently, they didn't kill it. But one thing too that I thought of was, I know everybody's kind of up in arms about Baker not being presented well. But it very well could be that she asked to take a little bit of a step back because of how serious the stuff was with Adam Cole.
Yeah, and not only that, we had, she had that women's belt for a year-ish and had a broken nose, had a broken arm, that also could have just been, hey, let me on TV. Can I heal? You know what I mean? Like, can I be okay? So that could have been it too, is that it could have been, or a combination of the two things, where you got the physical and emotional drain and strain. So that all of that's very, very possible.
Absolutely. Then next we had what I thought would have been, this was my second match of the night, which was the Hangman Adam Page versus Moxley in the Texas Death Match. I'm usually not a death match guy, like I've said before, but this was very well done. I really liked this match. It was everything that I expected it to be. This was a war. It was awesome. This was totally awesome. And Hangman getting the win over Moxley and Moxley tapping is insane. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. They went all out. First time I've ever seen bricks ever used in a match. Shout out Bricks Malone, but I thought that this was awesome.
Go ahead, Andretti.
As you guys know, I'm not the biggest Hangman Page fan in the world, but the entrance was awesome. The new music is great. Fresh coat of paint, man, and that is always a good thing for people. Look, I have to give him credit for having an awesome match. I kind of figured he was going to get the win. Moxley did a hell of a job in that match. It looked really good. For them only using a couple props, in the big scheme of things. We've seen a lot stupider things in wrestling, but the match was really good and really well done, and probably the right call on the ending. I'm not sure what we're going to do next, whether we're going to get Paige as a babyface challenge in MJF, but I kind of wouldn't mind seeing Hangman Page as a heel if they can pull that off. I probably would rather see him as a heel right now than as a babyface. I don't know which direction they're going to go with that, but I'm assuming we're going to get MJF and Page since MJF.
I love his new presentation with the new music in the entrance. It was fantastic. Loved it. And if we're going to get a heel Adam Page, I feel like that's something we haven't really seen, or at least we haven't seen a good enough one that I'm interested in. I'm now back interested that I want to see this for real now.
So last week, we had all that time spent on the Hangman, and I had said that, for me, I felt almost like I was living through one of those early 90s Smark fan things of I've had enough of you, Hulk Hogan, with Paige, just because it was it was sort of the same thing of here's my cowboy music and I'm coming out and cheer me, and like the layers that were in his character were peeled back a little bit, and we tried to mix reality with work a shooter or shoot a work or whatever you want to say with his head injury, and you bring his family into it and things like that. And I don't know, that one, I got it. And it was cool, like as far as an angle goes, but as far as, the actual character himself, this is a Podski exclusive here. Didn't preview the boys with this one. Right. If I'm booking Adam Hangman Page, where do I go next? Adam Hangman Page just won a 20 some odd minute blood war against Jon Moxley, made him tap out, came out with an edge, came out with new music. I am doing the Jon Moxley comes out, says the microphone, says Adam F. and Page, get out of here. They snarl at each other. And Moxley says, brother, I don't like you. but I respect you. We are bound by blood, and let's go to war together. The Blackpool Combat Club, man, they don't need Jon Moxley. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if they're going to be ROH guys, they definitely don't need Jon Moxley. Moxley doesn't need a crew. Danielson isn't really with them. Yeah. So let these two be the new Bash Brothers. They don't need to be heels, but I'd like to see Adam Page with an edge, man, because that's what Moxley is. Moxley can get cheered, or Moxley can also pull a hammer out of his shorts and hit you over the head with it. And you know what I'm saying? And that's just how he is. I wouldn't mind that, man. I would be cool with them doing, and they don't need to be tags or whatever all the time or anything like that. But for them to be one of those, bound by blood kind of deals, I'd be cool with that. Especially from a guy that lost his friends and then was friends with nerds, and now he potentially, again, maybe doesn't have a true friend, but he's got somebody that he's found common ground with.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
But yeah, great match. This was great. This is absolutely great. And the one thing that I did want to say is that they were, and I mean this, it seemed like the safest, dangerous match I've ever seen.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like in a match that a guy literally took a fork and raked it against somebody's head. It still seems like, again, like nothing insane. Some of those spots, man, Hangman's face into the chair with the blood being on the barbed wire was amazing. And the fact that Moxley got the visual of the Bruiser Brody, and then they ace on commentary for saying that, and then he got choked out by it, I thought was a perfect ending. And yeah, this was excellent.
Absolutely. And then this was the death spot of the show. These guys, there's nothing that they could have done any better that would have helped it, but it was Wardlow versus Samoa Joe in the TNT Championship, and this match died 1,000 deaths. The crowd needed a moment. Like, we had just had banger, 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 and this was the dead spot. So, interested to see where they go. Wardlow wins, but it'll be interesting to see what they do with this Hobbs thing now. So, I'm interested to see what they do with that tomorrow night. But I don't know. This was just this was a piss break for me, and I hate to say that because I like both of these guys, but I personally needed a break, and I know that Andretti mentioned this during the show. This would be in a perfect spot for a intermission or something like that, maybe just like a quick 5 or 10 minutes to just reset, and then we could have went right into the next match, would have been the tag match. But did you guys have any thoughts that you wanted to say on that TNT match?
New Japan does the intermission every show, and it doesn't take anything away from anything. And all they do is recap, and they talk for a little bit, and you just sit there and stare at the ring for 10 minutes. But if you're going to, on an American show, if you want to talk about, play the video of the upcoming matches, talk about big spots that happened earlier in the night, you can kill 10 minutes. I really do think there should be an intermission.
Okay.
Because somebody... Mongoose, there's somebody on every pay-per-view card that gets shit on because they are in a bad spot position-wise through the match order.
Right. And here's the thing is that that there was nothing that these guys could have done. I mean, absolutely nothing. The only thing that could have potentially saved it is if this was between the Jericho and the coffin match. That might have been the one chance to save it position wise on the card. Mm-hmm. But for me, I don't know. I wish that this was on Dynamite, Rampage, or the pre-show.
Yeah, absolutely. Should have been on Dynamite pre-show. Absolutely. 100%. And then we got to this tag match, which I wasn't sure what to expect out of this tag match, but I actually was really enjoying what they were doing. I thought they had a really good spot with them all doing the mock, the Jarrett mock walk the whole way through. I thought that was great. I really like this match, actually. I have to say that the Guns have really, really improved, and I thought they looked very good. And the everything that I shit on and I was so pissed about on Wednesday night when FTR didn't come out as a Joker, when they came out, they got a enormous ovation for that. And that is exactly what they needed, because I don't know if FTR is going to be there for long. We'll find out maybe tomorrow on FTR's podcast, but I thought it was fantastic. I felt like this was so very much needed for that division. And I actually really, really like this match. It's probably my fourth favorite match on the show.
Well, look, I think there's some things that could have been done differently here, but I mean, what it basically did was it gave the Guns credibility over three other teams. Now, whether you want to call that quote unquote 3 wins, whatever, but they need to establish those guys as credible, because they're going to be longtime players in this tag team division. That's what it is. I mean, you want to try to give them credibility here. Could it have been done differently? Yeah, yes, it could have been done differently.
Is there's no way that they're not signed long term. As many hiccups and strange decisions as AEW makes booking wise, I would assume anyway that they would be smarter than, let's give these guys a big return, huge reaction, and now you get to go to the WWE next month. Basically the way that the WWE did with Aleister Black, where they brought him back and he was a huge deal, and then he just went right to AEW. Like, you reintroduced him to an audience to then let him go. So I would assume that there is no way that they aren't signed if that wasn't the case. That being said, the only way that I can justify this is if they literally signed this weekend, which could be a thing. That absolutely could have happened. And if that is what happened, then I understand it. If they've been signed for a couple of weeks, I think that it is, I do understand trying to establish the Guns. I do. But I don't know in terms of, the story that was there. I just really would have rather seen the insane momentum that FTR would have created coming back on the Dynamite before. You want to talk like money, business move, that's going to increase buys. Yes. FTR maybe showing up isn't going to get anybody to buy. Yep. Knowing that FTR is in that match and now they're going to get revenge on the Gun Club, that's going to get people to buy your show. So my biggest beef with the Gun Club was why they beat the Acclaimed if FTR isn't back. If FTR is back, then I'm off that. That's fine. But I also just found it irritating that we had another tag battle royal against Swerve for Swerve's sake, where FTR wasn't even in it, and you had Danhausen and Origin for Danhausen to lose. Why can't we pin Jeff Jarrett? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, why do we need the fourth team? Why do we waste 20 minutes to swerve me out of FTR not coming back?
Because Jay Lethal and Double J are a credible team. So just give the pin to somebody who is not a credible team. Now we have FTR coming out, and now
my thing is, if you're trying to build credibility for a new team, then you beat Danhausen. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, I mean, I don't know. It's that's the.
No, you're not wrong.
Because it would have actually made sense for Double J to take the pin, because you had them form that unholy alliance. And dude, the Gun Clubs are shitbags. So like, if they turned on them, you know what I'm saying, and double crossed them, like that's heelish too. Now I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, we've got all the players now. You've got the Young Bucks freed up. FTR is back. The Acclaimed have a clean win over FTR. The Gun Club just beat 3 teams. I mean,
Yeah.
we got 4
if they
teams
let it,
right there.
if they ever let them not be a trio, we still got the Lucha Bros. We still have the Buddy Matthews and King or King in Black. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But all right, well, it's main event, the final match. This was fantastic. I don't know how you can get much better than this if you're trying to do an Iron Man match. I feel like they've reset the standard for what a Iron Man match is. This match was fantastic. They used every inch of the ring. They used everything, and I thought that was very well done. This match was so good. I was entertained the whole way through. My only complaint was that they didn't have the clock up for the entire hour at all times. That drove me nuts, but they started to they didn't show it for the first 15 minutes, and then they started throwing it in a lot frequently as the match went on. That'd be my only criticism, but I thought this match was absolutely fantastic. A fantastic main event. It capped off this show so well. Fantastic. Love it. And MJF won. So what did you I don't know what else to say about this match other than it was fantastic.
All I've got to say is that, you know, they haven't done a perfect job with MJF up to this point, but the way that he was presented in that match, I thought was excellent. And I'm back on board with everything with MJF at this point. I'm excited about where this is headed. What a match, man. Danielson's unbelievable. It's early match of the year candidate for me, for sure. Other than that, I got nothing else to say other than, you know, the timer thing for me was something I wanted to, you know, touch on too. But I mean, just unbelievable. Those guys worked. They worked an unbelievable match. Everything was great. The crowd was into it. They worked the crowd the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
It was excellent. Really, really well done.
My gripe with the clock was gone when I started keeping the time myself just to see, because I was getting nervous that they were taking it away, and they went a true hour. And because of that, then I don't care. You know, I mean, for the sake of the crowd and for the sake of the people at home, yes, it should have been up the whole time, but they did go an hour. Like, you can time it out. And the other thing is, going into that match, I thought that the angle going into it, the go home promo where Danielson screamed at MJF and said, "Shut up. I am," you know, oh my gosh, something just happened on NXT here. No, I'll probably have to hear Andretti cut a promo on this. Oh my God, this is I don't. All right, I got derailed. But I thought that the fact that we had Danielson not let MJF say anything after weeks of people that were doing their griping of, okay, MJF, like, we get it. Like, you're smart, you know, you're a slime ball, like, you're a dastardly guy. Like, we've had enough of your heel promos, quote unquote. He didn't even get a chance to cut one. And Danielson hit a home run. And Danielson was giving me goosebumps, getting me fired up, ready to go. So that was good. And then when we had that match started, and I'm thinking, I was excited for it. Don't get me wrong, but like, there's no way Danielson's going to win. I was more intrigued on how MJF was going to win or how Danielson was going to lose. And brother, at the 45-minute mark, I completely convinced myself, put the belt on Danielson. He's going to win this. This is going to be great. I'm thinking of people that he's going to be facing next. The crowd would have went insane. The crowd believed, as did I, that Danielson had a shot to win this. And then when they went to overtime, dude, and when MJF first got the belt taken away, and then Ramsberg took the ring off his finger, I legitimately was like, Danielson's going to win this freaking match. And then the way that MJF won it was perfect. And this was a masterpiece. That was the only thing that I wrote down. This was a masterpiece. It was a 60+ minute match that did not feel like 60-minute plus match. Like it felt the way that your average Okada main event does, where you know you're going to be there. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and those Okada main events are 27, 28 minutes long. and this was an hour. You know what I'm saying? The pacing was perfect. The near falls were great. The actual falls were smart. You had the crowd eating out of both of their hands for 20 full minutes at the end. They did the tap out after the bell for it to be over. They did the Tony Schiavone walk down. This match will continue. Crowd goes insane. And then my best thing with this was when MJF was in the LaBelle lock, when he got to the rope and tapped to make Danielson let go of the hold and think that he won to throw him off of his game. Like that was very, very good, man. This was again, as a masterpiece. This was my match of the night. And I didn't think it could happen, but it did. And I am so glad that I got to see all of that happen live. It was awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I could have said it any better than what you just did. It was an absolute masterpiece. That's
Hey,
Yep,
now I'm
absolutely.
excited again to start watching Dynamite tomorrow night.
But all right, well, that is our AEW Revolution review. We got a bunch of good shows coming up that we mentioned earlier, so make sure you check out the socials at the Podski at _Podski on Twitter, the _Podski on Instagram, and the Podski with John Baker on Facebook. Check us out, download, rate, review, and subscribe. A big milestone. The Podski hit 2,000 downloads this week, so big old drum roll and congratski for that. So but thank you to all listeners for all that, obviously, and let's go on to 3K now. So we will see you next week on the Podski.